the concept that consciousness is not related to neurological activity, so it's not embodied, then you could theoretically, that would mean that someone who was truly enlightened or who had really woken up would have access to the sort of disembodied reservoir of all information that exists in the micro thing that they call the soul, which means you could look at it and be like, here's what happens. So that would be the
Wait, what?
Couple in the next room, bound to win a prize. They've been going at it all night long. Well, I'm trying to get some sleep, but these motel walls are cheap. Lincoln Duncan is my name, and here's my song. Here's my song.
Attempt number 3. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Ari Shaffir Skeptic Tank. On today's episode, Mr. Duncan Trussell. Who doesn't love Duncan Trussell? Who doesn't love Duncan Trussell? Probably somebody, right? Probably somebody. So you think your guy rose, just out of the blue, rose from the dead, and then, but nobody saw him, and he never came back. And then, so then when the Messiah comes, it's going to be, so when he comes back, but why did he have to rise again? Like, why was that part of it? Couldn't he just die and then come back as the Messiah? It's a shitbox story, you guys. I mean, even by your own rules. You know what I mean? Look, I don't mind. If you set up a movie, then pay off the movie, you know? Here's what I compare it to. If the movie is Spider-Man, I might have said this in the podcast, actually. But if the movie is Spider-Man, that's fine. Be a Spider-Man. But don't, midway through the movie, just have him flying. Because Spider-Man doesn't fly. And you're like, well, he could fly. And like, yes, that would be Superman. Or another superhero that flies. But this one is set up as a guy who doesn't fly. So you can't just suddenly have him fly. So by the rules you set up, you're calling it a miracle and nobody saw it. Nobody saw it. And if he's the son of God, then it ain't no miracle. He can't die anyway. As I'm saying this, I realize I know way more about the Jewish stories than about the non-Jewish stories. So happy Purim, everybody. Pesach is coming up. I guess I could do my yearly round of a Passover, but I already did that last year. Purim is nowish, and that's the one where this dude fucking pimped out his daughter. Literally said, fucking, don't tell anybody you're Jewish, because they won't want you, but go fuck this king. So in like 30 years, you can get his ear, and he'll listen to you when we're gonna like try to kill the Jews. And then you'll be able to go, can you I'm Jewish, so can you like not do the killing the Jews thing? And he'll be like, what, you're Jewish? Yeah, all right, I won't kill them Jews then. And then that's the story of Purim. And Esther's supposed to be this fucking feminist. She's supposed to be this feminist icon. She's supposed to be a feminist icon. And all she did, how much juice do I have left? Some. And all she did was fucking slut it up. She was hot. That's what it was. She was so hot that the king was looking for the hottest bitches in the world. Because Vashti was the feminist icon. Vashti was his wife. And he goes, come appear before me naked, before my court. Like he wanted to show everybody what a hot body his girlfriend had. Which, by the way, it seems wrong now, but that was before I lived in L.A. And in L.A., it's like, I passed a girl coming up my fucking walkway the other day. I mean, today. Fucking tits hanging out. Gorgeous. You know, swimsuit model looks and body. And I thought there was a dude with her, and I'm like, fuck. And I was with a girl, so it's like I couldn't really stare that much, but you know how guys get. We get it in. We realize at some point, like, the head doesn't have to swivel. The eyes can swivel. The head doesn't have to. And I was like, doesn't that guy mind? And I was like, nah, he doesn't mind. He's happy. Everyone's looking at his fucking chick. That's all. King, what was his name? King Haman was the bad guy. Who was the king, dude? Achashverosh. Yeah, Achashverosh just wanted to show his fucking buddies, like, hey, look, guys, I got a real hot chick. Dude, my friends do that. They show me fucking naked pictures of their girl on their phone. Hey, check out my girl. Look how hot she is. Dude, you're showing me naked pictures of your girlfriend? Yeah, look how hot she is. I mean, she's pretty hot, bro. She is pretty hot. I've seen so, and then you have to see them afterwards, and you're like, hi, how are you? And they go, why are you looking at me that way? Like, no reason. That's not even true. I don't look at them weird. It's just a naked picture. I compartmentalize, and I don't. Those things don't connect in my mind. I see you as a separate person than the fucking naked picture I just saw. Why can't I do this fucking parking job? So anyway, Achashverosh says, hey, Vashti, get in here. Show these guys how hot your fucking body is, you fucking hot queen. Look how fucking hot she is, everybody. And then, dude, this rear view parking thing makes parking so much easier. It's almost unfair. Why can't I fucking go? Anyway, so she wouldn't do it. She said, fuck you, I'm leaving. And he didn't kill her. He just said, all right, I banish you or whatever. You know, that works. Which that probably means he just killed her. And he's like, well, now I'm on a hunt for a new queen. And he went all over looking for the hottest chick to replace the fucking hot chick who wouldn't show her body off. And then they conveniently leave out. So he found this girl, and Mordechai, her uncle, was like, hey, when the king comes around, don't tell him about the ixnay on the uj, if you get my drift. And so she doesn't say he's a Jew, and so, you know, obviously, she's not a Jew, she's good. And so he gets her, and he's like, yeah, you're my wife. Esther, Queen Esther. Little kids dress up as her on Purim. It's a Jewish Halloween. They all dress up, they go trick-or-treating, but it's not really trick-or-treating. And then, I mean, for sure, he asked her to show naked too. But he just said he suddenly stopped behaving. Hey, maybe he stopped that behavior. Maybe he was like, I lost my last wife over this. When they're like, hey, show us your new wife's tits. And he's like, turns out they don't react great to this. And then it's weird because I get painted into a corner because then I feel like they're disobeying me and I'm the king, so I have to lay the law down. So I'm just not going to ask this time. But I would like to show you guys her tits. It's not like she's a Jew or anything. Yeah, I better not ask. Or if I do, let's just, hey Esther, don't. Maybe at the end of it, at the very end of the whole story, and she's like, yeah, I'm going to write all this down. She goes, okay, yeah, sure. Write all that down, but maybe, can you leave out the part about how I try to get my wives to show their tits? I don't know if that would translate to on paper. You know, it kind of had to be there kind of moment. And then she'd be like, no, but what I can do is I can just leave out the part about how I showed my tits. And he'd be like, I'd rather you leave out both of them, but yeah, I mean, sure. I mean, you're the author. I don't want to impede the creative process. So, and obviously, do what you want, but just try to make me look good if you could. Anyway, so the whole story ended up being there was this guy named Achashverosh who was he was the king, and then Haman was evil. He just hated Jews. And he was like, hey, Achashverosh, there's these fucking shitheads, Jews. Do you mind if I just call open season on them? Yeah, he didn't even kill him. He just said, you're allowed to go for it. And I think Jews could defend themselves, but, you know, Eastern Europe, it's not the kind of Jews that can defend themselves so well. And then, I guess it was Middle East. Yeah, those were the kind of Jews that can defend themselves. Yeah, that was like Mesopotamia kind of place. Or was it Rome? Who knows? And so that, that's what it was. He was like, they can't defend themselves. You guys can do whatever the fuck you want to them. And then Achashverosh, Esther was like, hey, by the way, I don't know if I mentioned this before. Did I mention this? And Achashverosh was like, what? He goes, well, you know how Haman said we should kill all the Jews? He goes, yeah, I think so. I think I signed a decree on that. Let me see. I signed the divert funds for new roadways. I got the schools. I got kill the Jews. Healthcare thing. Which one was it you were asking about? No, I was asking about the killing the Jews stuff. So I don't know if I told you this. And Achashverosh was like, "What is it, Esther?" Well, I think I might have. Did I ever tell you I'm a Jew? I think I told you I was a Jew. Did I tell you? I think I told you. He goes, "No, I would have remembered that." You know. She's like, "Really? We never came up." It was weird because your name is Esther. It's a Jewish name. And weirdly Asian also. So I should have put 2 and 2 together. But no, I don't think you ever mentioned it. Yeah, weird. I guess, anyway, well, now that it's out in the public, so you signed a thing saying how it was one of the Haman's things about how you could kill the Jews next week. Anything you could do about that? And he's like, well, I kind of already signed it into a decree. I'm kind of bound. And this is getting me in trouble all the time. I can't really go back on my word. I lost my last wife over it with the tits thing. I mean, you've been way cooler about it, but can't really go back on my word. And she goes, well, is there any leeway here? Anything we can do? He goes, well, I could make it legal. And this is the actual thing. He goes, I could make it legal for them to defend themselves. And she was like, what do you mean? He goes, well, all these people are going to go kill them. I guess I could no longer make it illegal for them to try to stop that. As if they would have been like, well, it's illegal to try to fight back, so I guess I'll just take this murder and rape that's coming to my family. These stories, man, there's just holes in them. So he goes, yeah, okay, fine, let them defend themselves. So Esther's like, cool, quick, sign that in. And he goes, and by the way, who asked me? He goes, Haman asked me, and he was going to kill me, and I'm a Jew. He was going to kill your wife. And he goes, wait, what? And then Haman was like, he got called in. Achashverosh was like, get in here. And Haman was like, what? What's the matter? And she goes, you going to kill my fucking wife, bro? And Haman's like, dude, I was going to kill the other Jews. Your wife is cool. And he goes, dude, that's fucked up. You can kill my wife. And then Haman was like, bros before hoes. He goes, you call my wife a hoe, bro? He goes, no, bro, I'm not calling your wife a hoe. I'm just saying, bros before hoes. Sounds like you call my wife a whore, bro. And then, yeah, since the Jews could defend themselves, all the Romans or Mesopotamians or whatever they were like, this ain't as fun as they can defend themselves. Let's just go back home and just fucking, make some potato pancakes or something. I got some applesauce I can throw on there. And that's the story of Purim. Anyway, I asked Duncan, I was like, hey, man, it's time to have you on the podcast again. He's promoting a new tour that's starting, I think, next week, or maybe later this week, actually. Maybe later this week. You got to talk Duncan Trussell Family Hour. We talk about it at the end of the episode. I think it starts in Friday in Asheville, North Carolina, and it goes all the way up the coast. He's doing like 30 gigs, 30 different cities in like 30 days. Get a bus. It's fucking, I'm jealous. I've always wanted to do a bus tour like that. So I got to have him in. So I'm like, let's come up with a topic. And I was like, how about Maui? Let's talk about Maui, because I've been there and you've been there. And he goes, man, that topic seems really lame. And I was like, yeah, man. I mean, when you mention it, it sure does. It sure does. I mean, maybe if he lived in Maui, or if we were in Maui. If we were in Maui, like 10 days into a trip, and they're like, let's talk about this place. Sure, okay. But like, I've been there before. He's been there. And he goes, I have another idea. I'm like, sure, hit me with it. Does it end with ism? And he goes, it sure does. Let's talk about existentialism. And I'm like, sure. I actually, of all the philosophies that I remember from college, and I did not take any philosophy classes in college, so it's just what I picked up from my friends who were philosophy majors. By the way, one thing I picked up from my psychology major friend, Darren, son of the ambassador to Jamaica, the Jamaican ambassador to America, most relationships break up right around the 9 or 10 month mark, because 9 or 10 months with somebody is when you stop romanticizing them and you start seeing them for what they are. I used to have a joke about it, actually. So, like, early on, you'll be like, oh, they're so wonderful, they're so great. You'll revere things like, they're the type that always, like, before they change lanes, they turn their blinkers on because they care about others. They're always turning their blinkers on. That's just who they are. They're so wonderful. And then right about 9 or 10 months, you go, man, you breathe out of your nose too much. Why do you do that, nosy breathy? Fucking be a mouth breather. Anyway, so existentialism. From what I remembered of it from college, that's what I associated the most. That I would have been an existentialist. Now, here's the problem. College ended for me 17 years ago in May. No, January. Okay, 17 years ago. Since then, I've done a lot of stuff. I've gone to a lot of places. I've gone to Denmark. I've gone to Switzerland. I've gone to Thailand and China and Australia and places on Canada and Mexico, Scotland. And I smoked a lot of weed. And the result is my brain can't hold everything anymore. So I don't know what existentialism is anymore. And Duncan helps me understand it. And we also talk about fun stuff too. And honestly, whenever Duncan Trussell's on a podcast, it's always going to be like, you know, some heady material. But interesting. Always interesting. Duncan's always been interesting. You know, we used to have a dream. When I worked for him, I guess? I worked for him. Dude, those brakes need work. We had a dream when he was a talent coordinator and I was an assistant talent coordinator that one day we wouldn't have jobs. We wouldn't have jobs and we could do whatever we wanted. And you know what we would do? We would play tennis one day. We would get out and fucking play tennis on a weekday. We dreamed about it. And probably for the last 9 years, we could have done that and never did. Like when did Duncan work for Rogan on his website? Probably 8-9 years ago. He could take off any day. Never did it. Anyway. But figured why not have him on? So we talked about it. Duncan, by the way, stand-up is getting really good now. It's getting really good. He's connecting. His stuff is always out there, but just getting really good. My favorite existentialist novel I've ever read was The Stranger, Albert Camus. The Stranger. It holds together. I think it still holds up. I think I read it maybe even after college and loved it. And I was like, oh yeah, this is the kind of stuff I believe. That you don't matter, nothing matters. You're not looking to please anyone. I mean, I really don't understand what existentialism is. He helps explain it here. Maybe you guys can get a better grasp of it than I can. But Duncan is going on this 30-city tour, sponsored by Squarespace or something. And Squarespace, not something. He's starting in Asheville, I think on Friday. Check out DuncanTrussell.com, 2 S's, 2 L's, for all tour dates. But he's going all up the East Coast. Then he's headed over to Portland and the West Coast. But yeah, go take a look at him. He'll be in New York. And I'm going back to New York, by the way, on Wednesday. Oh, no, next week. No, next week. A week from today. I'll be back in New York until January or so. Can't wait. It's still cold there. So I'll get a little bit of nippiness so that I can appreciate the spring. I hope I didn't miss Cleavage Day. If I didn't miss Cleavage Day, and it comes, Cleavage Day, if you don't know, Neil Brennan told me about this. It's the first warm day in New York when it's 70 plus degrees on a weekend. And everybody, all the girls, show skin. Because they're like, hey guys, these babies have been in hiding for 4 months. In New York, 5 months. And it's time to let them breathe. And man, what a wonderful day that is. Everybody's in a good mood. The girls are like, look at what I got. They're in a good mood. The boys are like, look what you got. And they're in a good mood. If I didn't miss Cleavage Day, I'll do an intro or a podcast. Maybe I'll make it Mark Norman. Maybe I'll get Mark Norman. Maybe I'll do a whole podcast about boobs in New York. An homage to the Chappelle Show sketch or something. But like, yeah, Norman would be a good one to do for that. And just talk cleavage. At least an intro on Cleavage Day. Anyway, so yeah, I'm going back there. I'm going to be in Tempe, Arizona this week. That's where I'm going to be. At the Tempe Improv. Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Come on out. Go to arishafir.com for tickets. My last storyteller show, I think it's almost sold out. They already had like 60 or 70 tickets sold. So the final one's on Tuesday at the Comedy Store at 8 o'clock. And then I'm out. Wednesday for Tempe, and then pretty much straight to New York after that. And April 7th, I have a storyteller show at Union Hall in New York City. Don't know who's going to do it yet. Don't know the topic, but tickets are $20, and that's only seats like 80 people, so get a ticket fast. My storyteller show continues this Tuesday night at 12:30 a.m. with a story by moi. This one's a killer, everybody. I told you I'm proud of my stories this year, and I'll stand by it. This is about China. You might have heard me talking about it on Rogan's podcast, but I developed it into a story. It's fucking killer. So watch that. Guess who else is on it? Nicole Byer from Girl Code, and the legend in comedy, Mr. Ron White. Actually, we're all doing shit stories. It's called Disaster, but I think it's all just shit stories. You should have just called it shit stories. Anyway, set your DVRs right now for 12:30 and then watch it. And then the following week is Steve Simone will be on with Artie Lang and somebody else. Randall Park from Fresh Off the Boat. And then the week after that, I'm back on telling my final story, which is probably the craziest. Sean Patton telling maybe the best story of the year. And the one and only Joseph Diaz telling a second story. Not the one you guys saw online with the Santeria box. So, I'm almost home. Shall we start the episode? There was something else that I wrote down to talk about in the intro, and I don't know what it is. Well, I just looked, and it turns out it's nothing. Yeah, nothing at all. So shall we start? We shall. Ladies and gentlemen, Ari Shaffir Skeptic Tank, episode 260. I feel like it's 259. But it might 260. You know what I want to do this year? I want to do a spoiler alert podcast with like 3 other comics straight from opening night of a movie. I mean, so it's like brand new, like Thursday night, midnight show, and then just do straight spoiler alert. I guess we shouldn't really talk about it right now. And by the way, get the 2016 shirt. They're out now at arishafir.com. The 2016 shirt designed by Kevin and thought of by Kevin Christie. They're really cool. Pick one up. They're black this year. Whatever size you want. All right. Okay, let's start the episode. Ari Shaffir Skeptic Tank, episode 260. Existence is Futile. With Duncan Trussell. Do you move with all the art?
Well, yeah.
Acquire as you go.
This art was acquired in my last place. So when I go out on the road and stuff, sometimes people give me stuff or like that Gunslinger, the Dark Tower series is my favorite series.
Oh yeah, I remember that. You're liking that.
It's the best, and they're actually making a movie of the Dark Towers. Do you know anything about the Dark Tower series?
A little bit. From you, actually, probably. Or bookstores.
So it's this amazing character, Roland, the gunslinger, who's this, like, sort of fatalistic, driven hero, completely fucked up dude.
What do you mean?
He's got some problems, man.
It's in an apocalyptic world?
Yeah, and pretty much one of the things that tends to happen if you're friends with Roland of Gilead is that you're probably going to get killed, you know? So it's like, he's like this amazing character, just a beautiful character. So this guy painted me
Duncan of Gilead.
Yeah, which is cheesy as hell, but I love it, man. I'm sorry, I'm a sucker for anything.
I like when it's like, oh, cool, that's me. But then I'm like, I can't put up a picture of me in my own home.
I know.
I mean, that'd be cool for someone else to have.
I know.
Like, remember that guy who was the guy who made that Christina? Who's the girl from Addams Family who went on to become really beautiful? She was a little girl, Friday Addams.
Oh, yeah. I don't know her name.
Well, there was some artist who made a picture of her as a bumblebee. You know that one?
I don't know it.
And it's just like a really popular art. All the stuff sells for $500,000. And she was like, I'll buy that. Christina Ricci.
Oh, yeah.
And he goes, no, it's not for you. It's for anyone else in the world except you.
Oh, God, that's so strict. Well, I know what you mean. I know. And I acknowledge the tackiness of it. But simultaneously, the fact that this...
It's not just your head.
It's it's not. And this is Sweetie made it for me.
Yeah.
And it's like, it just feels like it kind of like honors that guy for like spending the time to make the thing anyway.
Oh, yeah.
But so that's where a lot of this stuff comes from. That came from the Paradise thing came from this thrift store. That's like a African barbershop sign, which is super cool because the haircuts all really suck in it.
They really do.
But somebody painted it, so that's pretty fucking cool. Yeah, so this all came from the last place. I haven't gotten any.
That lady's got a comb in her head, but it's just barely touching the top of her head.
It's kind of levitating above her head, really.
Oh, it is. Oh, I thought it was connected. I thought it was in a pic, but it's not. Right,
and it's a kind of sinister looking comb. It looks more like somebody put a lot of jagged nails into a stick.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're right.
That doesn't look like if you comb...
Oh, I'll get my hair cut here.
It's like Dahmer would comb your hair with that. It would leave, like, scratches in your scalp.
You know Metzger's theory about Jeffrey Dahmer?
What?
He's in heaven. Because he recanted. He said, I'm sorry. And then he goes... Yeah, but I was... One time I was hosting, he did that bit. And he goes, Ari over there, he's going to hell.
Why?
Because he's a Jew. He won't be allowed to go to heaven. But Dahmer's in heaven.
Oh, God, I love all those rules.
Yeah, he goes, sorry, guys, that's the rules you set up.
It's so great. Those rules are so... But, that is true. That is true. I mean, I think the real blasphemy is everybody goes to heaven. I think that the blasphemy is that what ends up happening is that if you want to just...
Everyone ends up going to heaven?
If you want to play the thought experiment of heaven and hell, and it's a very fun thought experiment to play, especially, for one... The idea of heaven and hell is fantastic because people like to pretend that heaven and hell is something that happens after you die. So the concept is this place that we're in right now is neither heaven or hell, but it's like heaven or hell.
Testing grounds.
It's a testing ground.
Yeah.
And heaven or hell is this kind of like either like the best surprise party or the worst surprise party of all time that happens when you die. When the really trippy thing to consider is this is actually heaven and hell that we're in right now. Like
what do you mean?
Well, this is it. We're in what could be called the afterlife already. Like we are already in something that you could consider the afterlife of nothingness. So if prior to this we are complete nothingness, or we are just literally a no thing, to even say we were a no thing is to negate the no thing. So if prior to this there was a non-state of beingness, and then that non-state of beingness came into its own state of beingness, then you would say that's death for nothingness. So we're the afterlife of nothingness, which means that this life that you're existing in is heaven or hell. It's just depending on what...
And then there won't be an afterlife after this?
Well, I mean, no one knows the answer to that. But I mean, why focus on that at all when you're dealing with the fact that you're already in the predicament?
Right.
These people a lot of these hell-heaven addicts are yapping about this predicament they're going to be in, completely overlooking the fact that they're already in the fucking predicament, which is that they became something.
Yeah.
Which is a really troublesome...
That's what I think kept black people down for the longest time, was religion. They're like, it's okay, and they have these negro spirituals, and Moses is going to take us out, we're going to go to heaven. And it's like, no, guys, rise up and kill your fucking... Well, this is
and it completely flies in the face of a lot of the things our Lord Jesus Christ said, which is, I am the God of the living, not the God of the dead. The kingdom of heaven is at hand. The kingdom of heaven is here.
Oh, really?
Never, so it's like all these things are like, this is it right now. And you're putting off dealing with the personal responsibility that you have for acknowledging the fact that you're either in heaven or in hell right now. That's it. This is it. And what a perfect heaven or hell it is. I mean, it's the ultimate. If you were going to manufacture a heaven or a hell, this would be it. I mean,
I had a rabbi who told me that the afterlife is the same, heaven or hell. It's just an open Talmud. and you get to read it. And if you do the work on this level, you'll really enjoy it. And if you don't, you'll be like, this is so boring.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I just think it's there's just no, I mean, it's like the thing is this, whatever's going on here right now in your life, whatever the pattern is, it's going to keep going on. Whether you're in a if someone throws you into...
Oh, like if you're a drama queen, you're going to be a drama queen in heaven?
Yeah, it's not going to change.
Yeah, you're right. That's your soul. That's your personality. It'll be up there. The
scene changes. That's it.
Even if you'll be a ball of light, you'll still be a drama queen ball of light.
Exactly. If you're a procrastinator, you're still going to procrastinate.
How you doing? I'm fucking dim today.
Exactly.
My fucking light's barely burning.
That's it. Nothing's going to fucking change. You might experience...
Can you believe it?
You might have like a few millennia of being like, it is so amazing here in heaven.
Yeah.
But inevitably, you're going to go right back to the same shit. You're going to talk shit about somebody in heaven, guaranteed. You're going to talk about someone behind heaven.
Suddenly you wouldn't, your ability to like speak ill of someone, that wouldn't go away.
You'd still speak.
Shahara would stay.
You'd still probably talk shit about things that happen to you on Earth. Like you would see people, if you're a shit talker, or if you're a
people, I did it better than that.
Exactly. You're like, why is that guy in heaven?
You'd want to be more like leave out the people who shouldn't be there. It's like when you get into a nightclub, like, why is that guy getting in the rope?
What the fuck?
I just got in, but why is that guy now?
They're really lowering the standards for this place. So
I did see that once at a nightclub. I was there with Rogan, and we got in, whatever, and some girls came and sat with us. And then some other girl came in, and these girls like, excuse me, this is art. And I was like, you just got in here because you were like nearby and looked hot. What do you mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Years now.
That doesn't go away. So that's the hilarious thing about it is that we're all in the fucking afterlife, but nobody wants to acknowledge it. We want to pretend that somehow this isn't the afterlife. It totally is. That's actually in the...
Oh, that's the thing. That's what we don't get. That's why they did in Lost, where they were like, at the end, they're like, oh, you're all just getting ready to get into heaven. It's
you just spoiled Lost for me, you shit.
No, I didn't. I saved you from it. Fucking 7 years, and the last 2 were just like, nah, the whole thing was go fuck yourself.
Like,
that was the meaning.
I was ever going to watch Lost.
You had to be in there when it was going on. It was pretty crazy when it was going on, but then none of it worked out.
Well, I mean, it was, I remember enjoying the first few episodes, but then it just kind of felt like they were just throwing shit together.
I'm like, are you going to start paying this shit off or what?
Yeah. That's
one thing out of 10 would pay off.
Wait, spoil Lost for me, because I will never watch it.
Okay, plane crashes. Go down from Australia to America.
Yes.
Crashes. Lots of different characters. One guy is transporting his dad's body back. He had to get his dad's body.
Yeah.
He's always living in the shadow of his dad. He's the main character.
Yeah.
His dad's a surgeon. He's a surgeon.
Yes.
His dad was a drunk. Another lady has some weird mystical shit, like you can't have your baby in Australia. You got to go to America to have it. But really, you got to go to this fucking island that they've landed on, the middle of nowhere. No one's ever going to find them.
Okay.
They're off course. No one's ever going to find them.
Right.
They landed. Now they got to make a life. And there's mystical shit on the island. There's a smoke monster.
I know about all that.
Yeah, one guy's trying to get off drugs, and then he finds a bunch of heroin on the island.
Yes.
He's like, relapse time. Which is also like, what are you going to clean up here?
How fucking awesome would that be?
Yeah. No thought of I could ever get off. It's just survive. People die one after the other, and all these people have weird, strange powers.
So what's there in heaven?
At the end, they keep going back, and they get off the island, they keep going back and forth, and then the last, 2 years or so, they all died on the island. Some got off maybe, but then it's like, to accept heaven, you have to accept that I'm dead. So to accept it, you have to go back to this time that was really meaningful in your life. So then they're sort of back on the island, even though their lives moved on. They were only there for a year, so it's discounting their whole lives. Oh, everyone on the island, their whole lives was just about the island. When it's like, no, this guy had a kid fucking 5 years later. That guy fucking got married. That guy fucking won the World Series. It was just so dumb.
Sounds goddamn
And then once you accept, oh, I'm dead, now cool. Now you can get into heaven.
It sounds disappointing as hell.
Yeah, it was very disappointing. Yeah, this is the kind of art shit I would have. Somebody made me something like this. I put it on my.
I'll put you in touch with the guy.
Nah. You know what Jews believe about heaven?
What?
Everybody goes, except the worst of the worst.
Yeah.
Everybody goes to heaven, and before you get to heaven, you got to have cleansing. It's 11 months of cleansing. Depending how bad you are, that's how hard they got to turn the fire up.
Okay.
But for those 11 months, every day is like 1,000 years.
Wow.
Yeah, heaven days are a lot longer than.
This fits into a little bit with the Tibetan idea, the Tibetan Buddhist idea, which is it's like a series of, when you die, there's a series of terrifying things that you witness, and at any given point, all you have to do is recognize that you're just seeing a projection of yourself, and that there is no other. You're just a oneness, and then you don't get reborn. Because a lot of people...
You don't get reborn?
That's the idea, is you don't want to come back into this thing.
Like, I thought Buddhism has reincarnation.
Oh, they do, but that's bad. You don't want to go... It's called samsara, so it's this endless cycle. It's this endless...
You fucked up, now you're a caterpillar in the next life.
Right, or whatever it may be. So the concept is you see a glowing light. And it's really scary because when you die, most people are not prepared for death.
Right.
So they're scared. Most people die terrified, or they die confused, or they die drugged up, or they die freaked out, or whatever. So the momentum of your death propels you in the exact same direction your whole life has been going. And like I was saying, you react to death in the same way that you've been... One of the things they say in hospice is you die as you lived. A person will repeat the same patterns that they had in their life in the last few months of their existence. They'll do the exact same shit over again. So you die as you live. The computer program just keeps running the same thing no matter what's happening. So when you die, this kind of karmic DNA continues its work. And so generally what that means is you're going to see a bunch of shit, you freak out about it. You see this white light, you run from it. You're like, the white light they all talk about going into, you're like, you don't want anything to do with it, so you run from it. And so then the next thing you apparently see all these sights. So you see apparently like a Buddha sitting in a field, an impassive Buddha sitting in a field who won't acknowledge you. Like it's just someone meditating, and you're like, "Where the fuck am I?" And they won't, just like doesn't see you, and so then you run from that, walk away from it, whatever. You're in fear is the point, and then you get. This is where it seems to be similar to the idea in Judaism, which is that you just get ripped apart by demons for like a long time after that. The demons come and they devour you, get ripped to shreds. You see the hell realms, the hell of hungry ghosts, as it's called, where all the beings have these super long necks.
How do they come to this shit?
What do you mean?
I mean, if it's something that no one's ever been to, how does all the religions have a fucking afterlife version?
Well, I mean, if you want to look at the mythology of the thing,
I guess you could. Some people could talk to God.
Well, I mean, from the most skeptical explanation would be you make it up. You know, you're a smart person. You want to tell somebody a metaphor to help them understand what life is through some like intellectual approximation of death.
Yeah.
You make this shit up. Like, and if so, yeah.
But what do they say though?
Well, I mean, the idea would be that if you allow into your understanding of human beings that a human can become fully actualized, and then if you allow into your understanding of human beings the concept that consciousness is not related to neurological activity, so it's not embodied.
Yeah.
Then you could theoretically, that would mean that someone who was truly enlightened or who had really woken up would have access to the sort of disembodied reservoir of all information that exists in the micro thing that they call the soul, which means you could look at it and be like, here's what happens. So that would be the
Wait, what?
So what I'm saying is, like, if you believe in the soul, right? So if you believe in the concept of the soul, and in Buddhism, it's interesting because some forms of Buddhism, there is no soul. It's a bunch of bullshit. Okay. There's no fucking soul. There's no afterlife. There is no this life, in fact. There ain't nothing. You're an imaginary sort of delusion that the universe is temporarily having. You're just this like sort of echo of behavior mechanisms that is rapidly being dissipated into time. You're nothing. Find yourself in your body. Where are you? There's no you. You have no innate self. Any self that you think you have is constantly changing. Yeah. Look at you as a baby versus where you are now. Okay. There's no static. There's no place for you to throw anchor here. Forget it. You're in a constant state of flux, and therefore there is no self. So that's like Zen Buddhism. But then in Tibetan Buddhism, there's the acknowledgement of that. Ultimately, a kind of like boundarylessness is what human beings are. And yet, because they're in this dimension that we happen to be in, we see that there are these things called humans that incarnate and think that they are a self and have these fundamental delusions. they also think that there's a whole pantheon of disembodied entities that also are having a similar delusion, only they don't have human bodies. So this is where you come up with all these various realms, or the bardos is what they call it. So
it's not based on any sort of like, I guess, like accounts.
Well,
of it. It's like, it's like the demons of hell will rip your body apart. Like, from where do you even get that? That's based on nothing.
The bodhisattva, the enlightened being, I suppose, they're these enlightened beings who remember their past incarnations.
Right.
And so these are the guys who tell you.
Bring it back.
So they have these stories. Like one of the stories is.
Well, that makes sense, at least in what they set up.
They're like one of the stories. These are all. It's a beautiful mythology. It's really juicy and cool. But like one of the stories is one of these bodhisattvas.
Kabbalah. I was wondering why that Jewish fucking shit was on there. It's a Kabbalah thing. Okay.
Oh yeah,
painting.
The Tree of Life.
Yeah, it's like Malchus, Netzach. What is it?
That's the Tree of Life.
Yeah. Okay.
That's the Tree of Life. That top part, and I'll mispronounce it. So this supposedly represents the creative flow, right? Okay. So what does Kether mean? Because I don't know what the shit means.
Probably Kesher.
So this is the singularity, right? This is pre-Big Bang conditions, right?
Okay.
This is the pre-Big Bang conditions, and whatever existed before the massive expulsion of energy that happened at the Big Bang. That's Kether. So then this Kether goes to Hakma. I don't know how to say that. Chachma. So this goes to Chachma, which is the thing becomes aware of itself, right? Okay, so the unity becomes a thing that's aware of itself, right? So suddenly the unity is not just a thing that is an existent thing. It suddenly is aware that it's a thing.
AI.
That's first it was humans. Right. And the moment that happens, then that springs out to Bina. And now we have the initial triad of the Kabbalistic Tree of Life, which represents...
it's probably B'nai.
Or whatever the fuck it means. Yeah, so I've barely...
B'nai means like children, too.
I read
children of...
The child, yeah. So that would make sense. So you have the father, the mother, and then the child. And so then this creates the dialectic, or whatever you want to call it. And that's the thing that produces all other... parts of the creative process. And finally down there at the bottom, Malkuth. What does that mean?
Malchus. Oh, fuck, I remember.
So it supposedly means earth. So like that, so the end result of it is you get this shit going on here. The end result of this sort of divine unfolding or whatever.
Is it kingship? Malchus. Malchaz. Melech is king. Malchaz is queen.
And again, by the way, obviously, I'm not a fucking Kabbalah person. I just think it's fascinating. But all the tarot cards are based on this.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
you're not supposed to study Kabbalah unless you're 35 or over and married.
Great way to get 20-year-olds to study something.
Yeah, you're not allowed. Hey, you guys aren't allowed. What do you mean? Yeah. The more I grow up, the more I realize I'm not into any of this stuff.
Into any of the mythologies?
I mean, it's interesting, but it's not like I don't hold any of like, oh, that's like it's part of me. It's just like, oh, it seems like, the mythology of a people that are wiped out. It's like, it's just interesting to study them, but nothing is internalized there.
Well, I mean, it shouldn't be any more. It shouldn't be any more or less than like
Battlestar Galactica.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be any more or less than that.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's like what's really funny about human beings is. We have times where it's like, okay, now I'm learning and now I'm not learning. Like there's certain flows of information that we allow in because it's the way information should flow in. And there's certain flows of information that we don't let in because we think that's not how it works. So for example, I don't know if this has ever happened to you, but if you've ever had a problem and you're standing in line and you're listening to a conversation behind you, and they're talking about something very similar to your problem, and in fact, it almost seems like the exact advice you need for your problem. This has happened to me before where I've been listening, like, Jesus, that sounds just like this thing I'm worried about. But then I'll be like, I'll just ignore it. Because I'll think, well, that's not how you get answers to questions. It doesn't come from overhearing people talk. So this is an invalid field of information. So in the same way, it's like Battlestar Galactica.
It's like, well, that's not how I'm going to discover God.
I'm not going to fucking live my life according to the ethics of a Battlestar Galactica character that I admire, because that's just a fictional character. Instead, I'm going to live my life according to a fictional character that more people believe was real.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? So this is like the funny way that humans are. So like so it's like, okay, take Ganesh, for example.
Yeah.
Elephant-headed.
Yeah, that's why people I can't get behind that.
Well, no, a lot of people get behind it.
Well,
but,
yeah.
You know, they'll have Ganesh statues everywhere. But if you come to a person's house and they've got like pictures of Luke Skywalker everywhere, you're going to be like, what the fuck is going on with you, man?
It's all just mythologies.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
But because the thing is a mythology doesn't mean that it doesn't point in
this thing on witchcraft, and they were talking about in Africa, and people were like saying how like, you know, they're burning people and shit, and they're, you know, and some people they go to witch doctors for advice and stuff. It's like
yes.
Either demonized or not demonized. And some people like with education, with these witch doctors, kind of in the hunt for witch doctors, would that kind of go away? And they're like, oh no, people are super educated in Africa. It's not that Serengeti shit. Like, there are professors here. There's like colleges.
Yeah.
It's not about that. And then one guy was like, no, it's just part of our like history. It's like okay, the idea of a woman riding around on a broom is ridiculous, but you guys believe in angels riding around, just flying around.
Right.
Like, literally, what is the difference?
What is the difference?
Yeah, it's they're all ridiculous.
Well, I mean, that, and of course, then you have to like keep coming in, right? So it's like, instead of like, so the mind starts with the obvious ridiculous things, especially pretty much anything on the surface level is absolutely ridiculous,
Yeah.
right? So like, let's take a accepted mythology that a large percentage of the planet actually believes. So let's imagine that Jesus Christ on the third day rose again. So here's a man who is crucified, put into a tomb,
Yeah.
and on the third day after he died, he comes back to life. All right, so let's imagine that's real.
Okay.
Let's look at that. That's not real. Let's just think about it. It's never happened before.
Yeah.
It's never happened. We have no story of a corpse coming to
And by the way,
life.
they never saw him again. They were just like, he's gone. It must be he rose. They're like, or grave robbers.
Well, he did. Like, they saw someone who. There's like a lot of murky explanations of this, but the point is, and a lot of people need to approach it from a kind of vehemently skeptical way. So like, they need to be like, this is fucking bullshit.
Uh-huh.
You might as well believe in the flying spaghetti monster, you idiot. No shit, man. It's obviously not real.
Yeah.
Of course it's not real. But let's find out what is real, right? So let's start going backwards. So we know that the resurrection of Jesus Christ isn't real in the sense that this is a thing that actually happened. In the same way that I know that Bigfoot isn't real. Like, I want it to be real,
Yeah.
but I don't think it's real. I've never seen it. I've never experienced it. The same thing is, let's go for UFOs. Okay, well, that's not real. And then let's start bringing it in even more, right? So, like, my name is Duncan, right? But is that really my name? Is that who I really am? That name that people identify me as?
Yeah.
The sound pattern? Nope. That's definitely not me. Like, I'm not a Duncan any more than all the other Duncans on the planet are Duncans. There's
Yeah.
a lot of fucking Duncans out there, man. I'm not a Duncan. So then let's take it in even deeper, right? And so you begin to realize that pretty much as you begin to unpackage this existence that we're in, that all of your debasing and debunking needs to come to the ultimate place of, where are you in your body? Are you real? And how are you real? And what makes you real? What part of you is real? And then you begin to realize, holy shit, none of this is real, right? And then that's where you get into some really fun spaces. And that's where it becomes, now at that point, you're like, all right, since the mythology of my own self is based on a past.
Right, I'm not really an American. There's no such thing as America. It's just I'm
There
born
you
in
go.
this plot of land. I see the stars from here. You see the stars from 10 feet over. Somebody else sees the stars from 100 feet over, and someone else sees it from 200 miles over.
That's it. And I certainly have no static, like, when you really like consider your actual experience of life, it's not as though the camera is always staying in the same position. It's not as though like
Yeah.
like there's any kind of anything that is unchanging. Your head is always moving. Your visual field is always shifting. So it's like no matter where you are, there's always this infinite, endless movement that's happening. So there's really nothing solid or stable in a person's life at all. Not to mention the fact that you're on a planet that's spinning and you're in a universe that's expanding. So you're definitely not staying in the same place at any given time. So the whole point is you're in flux, and it's because you're in flux. Any attempt you make to try to name this constantly changing thing is actually naming what the thing has been prior.
What?
So as you try to name yourself, well, this is what I like, and this is what I don't like, and this is what I do, and I forgive, but I never forget.
But because you won't be like forever. You won't say that forever.
Well, you're always going to be naming the past, right?
Right. So I don't like coleslaw because I've had coleslaw before. I don't like it.
Right, and you're always referring to a thing that happened in the past.
I had it. My mom gave it to me. It was gross.
Right.
I don't want to eat it again.
And the thing that you're referring to is that the neurological encoding of an experience that you had that has been completely vanquished by time. So
it's just a memory of a memory.
Right.
Like I think I'm the guy who doesn't like coleslaw.
Right. That's it. But you're just naming a thing that isn't really you. You're naming a thing that was. So no matter what, the whole process of like referring to yourself is a kind of absurd process in the sense that the thing you're referring to doesn't even exist anymore.
Yeah.
So then, it's really fun because that's where we start getting into, well, what the fuck am I then? You know, if I'm not the thing referred to, but I'm the referrer, I'm the thing that is applying meaning, then what is that thing that's applying meaning? And so that's where you start swimming into the delicious, beautiful, wonderful waters of Buddhism, existentialism.
Yeah, well, how does existentialism come into this? Great segue.
Well, I mean, because you're so it's like
I always consider myself one of those.
An existentialist.
Yeah.
So how do you define that? How would you
I am. That's what it boils down to. That's all it is, really. Just I am.
You are what?
Just am.
Right.
I exist.
Yeah, so it's like what's usually used to explain it is like a paper cutter, right?
Yeah.
It has a function. It's a paper cutter. It cuts paper. It could be used as a bludgeon, but basically it is what it is. It cuts paper. That's what it is.
Yeah.
So a human versus a paper cutter. What is a human, right? When a person.
Right. What's its job?
Does a person have any kind of pre-existing, unchanging dynamic that condemns it to always being some certain way, right? But because what we just talked about shows that the reality is that just being an am or a kind of undefined blankness, that means that, and so this is what they say, existence precedes essence. That means that I am precedes I am a comedian.
Right.
So because what that means is that in every single moment, you're the one putting out to the world what you are. And every time you decide to let someone out into traffic, you're a person who lets people out into traffic.
You become instead of saying like I'm going to be the guy who does this, like, well, you're not that guy. It's like, I'm going to go to parties, I'm going to be cool. It's like, well, if you don't go to parties, then you're just not that guy who goes to parties.
That's it.
At some point, you're a grown up and you're like, you haven't done it in 10 years. So that's not you anymore.
That's not you.
I had to eventually stop saying I was a screenwriter because I was like, wait, I haven't touched a pen to a paper or, typed anything screen-wise in fucking a decade.
I mean, really.
So how pompous to say you write scripts.
How pompous to say that you're anything when the reality is that no matter what it is that you're saying that you are, you really aren't anything at all. And you're saying that you're this thing out of a kind of desire to define yourself.
Well, it's also like what you enjoy. Like in the Stranger, the Albert Camus novel.
Yes.
The guy got this, he's in Morocco, and he got this job promotion to my vocabulary is gone, bro. I gotta stop smoking weed for like 6 months. But he got his promotion to Paris. It's sought after. Everybody wants that job.
Yes.
But he goes, I kind of like walking in the mornings, just walking on the beach.
Yeah.
In Morocco, it's kind of my thing. People are like, what do you mean? This is a great job promotion. He goes, I know, but I really enjoy the sun hitting me.
Yeah.
And then he's like, has to deal with like, I don't want that thing. that everybody says I'm supposed to want. Here I am not wanting it.
Well, and that's what's really, that's where you get into this thing where you're like, shit, man, forgive me if I don't want to participate in the desperate game of make-believe that we've all been playing right now.
Yeah.
And so, but this is why, like, if you really want to, like, understand existentialism, go read dating profiles. When someone is describing themselves, it's hilarious because it's like you have a nothingness that's in a manipulative way describing itself, right? So it's like so funny because it's always that it's
always that what's your best. Like, what books do you read? And I'm not going to be like, I don't read much books. I'm going to go, Stranger and stuff from college.
Yeah, sure. You're going to say, I am a good person. I love to read. Yeah. I enjoy nature. I love animals. And I really, really treat people right if they treat me right. But if you don't treat me right, then you can be certain that I'll never forgive you. It's some version of that.
It's never like, pretty good. But sometimes actually I'm a dick. There's one lady who was in the supermarket. I could have let her cut in front of me. She only had one item, but I didn't really feel like letting her in.
Yeah. Or, it's like, the thing about it is I don't really think I'm anything, and I'm basically a perpetual liar in the sense that I know that no matter what I'm doing, I'm just putting forward a character.
All those things are also just comparing yourself to others. I'm kind based on what? Based on whoever else is kind or not kind.
And you're not kind.
I'm a runner. Well, are you a runner? You're a runner based on your comedian friends.
Well, you're not running right now.
Well, right.
Are you running while you do your dating profile?
Right. No.
Yeah. So you just sort of all, like, if you consider all the things a person does, right? One thing that we could say if we're basing like the thing we do the most is what we are, then we should all just say, well, I'm a shitter.
I'm a sleeper.
I shit and sleep. I shit, sleep, and eat, and I piss. I'm a shitter, sleeper, eater, and pisser because I've been doing these things consistently for the last 42 years of my life.
So the most consistent thing you are.
If that's what, if the way that we're identifying ourselves is based on some consistency of action, then,
then that's what it is.
And I'm a shitter, sleeper.
I waste time.
Yeah, I'm a shitter, sleeper, eater, pisser, procrastinator, video game player, and I drive.
I drive to get places.
Yeah, that's it. If that's the game, right? But really the game is...
Even like, I like to travel. It's like, really? Do you do mostly travel or not travel? You do mostly not travel, right? Then you're not a traveler.
Right. You're not a traveler. But you like to travel. You could say that. You could say, I like to do comedy. You could say, I like to do podcasts. But are you a podcaster? No. You're no more a podcaster than you are a metabolizer.
Yeah, you're a basketball player.
Yeah,
a metabolizer.
Yeah, you're no more. So this is what's really cool about existentialism is that there's two ways to look at this.
Yeah.
So one way to look at it is like the way Jean-Paul Sartre looked at it, which is this is hell. This is nausea. This is what
is existence?
So, not existence. The fact that I'm really not anything at all, and I'm constantly having to define myself. That means that I'm always on stage. I'm always performing. Like no matter what, I'm always like performing. And what's more miserable than that? You're in an inescapable situation where you're constantly having to put on a show for yourself more than anybody else. Because the other reality of the thing is. Most people aren't thinking about you, okay?
Right.
Number one, most people don't think about you. And if you want a proof of that, think of the person who bothers you the most in your life and imagine the times you think about them. Or the person you think is the coolest person on earth and imagine the times you think about them.
Most of the time you're not thinking about them.
But when you are thinking about them, it's a fleeting, phantasmic, sort of translucent moment of either anxiety or some mild happiness when you consider them, and that's the person you can. For example, my mom. I think about my mom a lot, but when I think about her, it's like remembering a dream. It's a kind of shimmering thing that, like, it's not as though I'm constantly thinking about her.
Yeah, when people say in the movies, like, it's never a day that goes by where I don't think about. I'm like, really? I don't always lose it on that.
Well, I mean, I could say there's probably never a day that goes by when I don't think about my mom, but
really?
If days do go by when I don't think about my mom.
You thought about it yesterday?
Who the fuck knows?
Right.
It comes and goes in like strange moments. But the point is, so no one's thinking about you. And if they are thinking about you, they're not thinking about you.
They're thinking about themselves in terms of you.
They're thinking about a neurological approximation of who you are based on a very...
What they think of you, too.
Yeah.
Remember that poem about that guy who had everything in life? He was rich, he was good looking, all the girls liked him, all the guys wanted to be him. And then one day he killed himself.
No.
Shot himself in the face.
Oh, yes, I know what you're talking about.
You know what you're talking about? It's a high school poem. And it's the thing, it's like, what? He had everything. It's like, I guess not.
Richard Corey.
I
think it's called Richard Corey. Let's look it up. We'll read it right now. Yeah. Hold on.
And it's like, well, maybe he didn't have everything going on. I mean, it could have been just mental problems, but like at the same time, it's like what we think of someone is not what they are.
Here, let's read it. Richard Corey by Edwin Arlington Robinson. Can I read it?
Yeah, what year is this written in?
This is written in...
Don't worry about it.
He lived from 1869 to 1935, so someone in there. So let's read it. Whenever Richard Corey went downtown, we people on the pavement looked at him. He was a gentleman from sole to crown, clean-favored and imperially slim. And he was always quietly arrayed. And he was always human when he talked. But still, he fluttered pulses when he said, good morning. Wow. And he glittered when he walked. And he was rich. Yes, richer than a king. And admirably schooled in every grace. In fine, we thought that he was everything to make us wish that we were in his place. Wow. So on we worked and waited for the light and went without the meat and cursed the bread. And Richard Corey, one calm summer night, went home and put a bullet through his head. Yeah, right. So you don't know anybody. So and even more so, you don't really know yourself any more than you know anyone else. So when you begin to realize that you are completely obsessed with a character that you've fabricated, which you call yourself, and that you spend all day long thinking about this fabrication, it's just this tapestry you've woven together that consists of things you wish you were and things that you probably aren't, mixed in with some stuff that you do, then this is the character that you're playing in life. And so the beauty of existentialism, even though there's what's called, my philosophy professor described it as black hat existentialism, which is just like, forget it, man. There ain't no beauty here. It's basically a kind of awful malfunction of the universe.
Well, a lot of people say existentialism has no place with God, right? They can't coexist. And some people say, no, they absolutely can coexist.
Yeah, because you have like the atheist existentialists. I think Camus probably was an atheist, definitely Sartre. And then you have the
Voltaire types that are like... You
have like Kierkegaard, Soren Kierkegaard, and Dostoevsky, who are just like, very religious. So can God exist? So the idea is, it's like, all right, well, if there's some God that has created us, then what is this being, right? I mean, it's like the Dostoevsky's description of religion or of Jesus is amazing. There's basically a parable, and I don't know if I've talked about this on your podcast before. I'm sorry,
I don't think so.
But there's a parable. So you know who Paul is?
Jesus Paul?
Paul, and who wrote the epistles in the Bible.
Is he the one that came across Jesus on the road?
Yes, to Damascus.
Okay. And he didn't give it up for him enough.
Well, no, he never.
Felt bad about it?
He hallucinated Jesus.
Oh.
He didn't even see Jesus. Oh. So this guy's name was Saul of Tarsus, and he was stoning the
That's what I'm going to call my son.
Saul?
Saul of Tarsus.
That's great. It's cool. It's perfect for your son because I'm sure your son is going to be an asshole to Christians.
Yeah.
And Saul, and
I raise him right.
If you raise him right, and Saul of Tarsus was taking part in the national pastime, which was stoning Christians. They would just throw rocks at Christians.
Son, a lot of people believe in different things. Like some people believe in Jesus. No, we don't believe that. What we believe is we have to mock those people and make their lives as hard as possible.
And that's what we do, Saul. Well, that's what Saul was. And so the story goes, I guess it's called The Road to Damascus. And so you'll hear that was his Damascus experience. But basically, Saul is walking down the road to Damascus. And
epiphany. It was the first epiphany in the world.
It's a hallucination where Jesus appears out of the sky and says to him, Saul, Saul, why do you persecute me? And Saul's like...
Jesus still alive at this point or gone?
No, this is Jesus' spirit.
I know, but this is after he's
After he's dead.
Okay.
Long dead.
Okay.
Long dead and risen. So suddenly Jesus appears in the sky, says to this guy, why are you
What's up,
fucking
bro?
with me, man?
Yeah.
And so this creates this like spiritual transformation. Saul goes to Damascus, is taken in by the early Christian church, and becomes the leader of the early Christian church, and writes all of these things called the epistles, which describe how Christians are supposed to live since Jesus didn't come back like he said he was going to come back. Because that was the problem, which was basically like this guy said he's going to come back.
Be right back, and then
no one showed up. So
he went to this corner store for some cigarettes. and he never came back.
He just something happened.
Yeah.
Put out a fucking Amber Alert because he's not coming back. So this
no Domino's tracker on Jesus.
so there had to be a little revision to the story, right? So that's
Yeah.
what Paul did. And so Dostoevsky, talking about this moment where Saul has a vision of Christ and his whole life changes. He goes from being an asshole to being a saint. The question he asks is, did Jesus touch Saul in some way with some metaphysical ray? Did he
convert him to make him be this other thing?
Right. Did it create a kind of like atomic chain reaction?
Powder or the Green Mile.
What do you mean?
They get to touch you and like, oh, I
That's
see
it.
everything. And now
That's
you have no choice but to believe.
Right. So if that happened, oh well, who gives a fuck? Because you just need to run into the goddamn thing, and there'll be a chemical transformation that happens in your body. You'll become a good person.
Butterfly.
Dostoevsky, the existentialist, says no. What happened is Saul saw this incredible vision, hallucination, whatever you want to call it, and used it as an excuse
To be a better person.
to be a better person. So
Yeah, to me, my problem, I don't mind the religions, but they have to be true. Same thing with movies. They have to be true to the world they set up. You know? So if you have Spider-Man, okay, fine, there's a Spider-Man.
yeah,
Fine, I'm going with you. But Spider-Man can't just start flying.
right,
Because that's not the world you set up.
Right.
He only has spider powers.
Right.
So if he just starts flying, you're like, you've lost me here.
Right.
So if God wants everyone to believe in him, but on their own, then he can't come and make himself clear to you, because then it's not fair to everyone else. And if you're just, then you can't say, okay, these 5 people, they get to solve the real thing, but everyone else has to just take the leap.
right.
It wouldn't be fair.
I mean, it's a very clumsy way to try to teach people. I mean, when you look at it from that perspective,
Or everyone should get the vision.
it's really the height of sadism, which is like you just take a bunch of non-beings and throw them into this terrible situation, demand them if the universe has existed for 13.7 billion years, or if you're an infinite being, you bring into existence these finite beings that if you're infinite, they exist for less time than fruit flies live in your house. And in that amount of time, you're expecting them to figure out you exist, to completely transform their innate behavior patterns. And if they don't do that, and it literally in what amounts to you for a couple of seconds,
Blink.
you're going to torture them for eternity.
It's like, that doesn't seem fair.
You're a fucking dick. So from
Just giving a mouse that, like, get to the end of the maze, or you're fucked.
you're fucked. And that
So wait, so Saul said he saw Jesus, or that was written about Saul?
he reported seeing him. Saul wrote there's letters from.
Because you know what, the Amazing Grace, you know that song?
Yes.
It was written by a slave trader
That's funny.
who eventually realized the error of his ways.
Right.
Sort of the same thing, where it's like, I was just one way with slave, and then I was the exact opposite way.
Well, there you go.
And he goes, I once was lost, but now I'm found. I was blind, but now I see these are people.
Yeah, there you
I can't
go.
do that anymore.
There you go.
But he didn't have to be touched by a fucking vision of a slave.
Well, no, he had an epiphanous moment, guaranteed.
Yeah.
And that epiphanous,
Maybe he saw a woman crying who was a slave. Like, wait, she's tears.
or a dream,
child.
or maybe
Could
he
be, yeah.
ate mushrooms, or maybe he,
Could be. Saw them in a different way because of that.
yeah. There's just no way to
Think Saul ate mushrooms?
very possibly,
I mean,
very
if it's that
possibly.
real hallucination. Do you think Jacob ate mushrooms
I think that
when the guy came down the ladder to fight Jacob and he became Yaakov?
we don't. Well, I think
I mean,
it clearly
I want to learn all these stories with mushrooms in mind.
right, and then it totally makes sense.
It's like when you realize Coke is a thing, and then you're like, this guy just suddenly fought me.
Have you read The Archaic Revival, Terence McKenna? You have to read it, because that's 100% what it's about, which is that all mythology has its roots in mushrooms. And
I'm waiting for that to come out on Neural Implant, and then I'll read it.
Audible is as close as you're going to get to that right
Okay,
now, and it's a
okay.
great fucking Audible book, and it's really quite understandable and really.
So what is it? What is it about?
So the idea is that there's all kinds of like fascinating things that happened when proto-hominids transformed into human beings. And so the idea is like these beings moved out of the forests into the grasslands, and they started, I'm sure you've heard this before. So they're hunting, we're omnivores, we're going to eat whatever's out there, we experiment with food. So his premise is that because bovine animals are going to live on the grasslands and we're hunting them, there's going to be mushrooms growing on their shit. So there's mushrooms growing on the shit of the things that we're hunting.
And we're eating everything.
And we're eating everything.
Let's try these.
He refers to this study done where they found that psilocybin gives you increased visual acuity in the peripheral. So apparently if you're on psilocybin, you can see better what's going on from the sides.
Oh, better for hunting.
And there's a severe evolutionary advantage in doing that. Not only that, but it makes you horny. So if you're eating mushrooms and it's going to help you
Mushrooms make you horny?
Have you ever had sex on mushrooms?
I don't believe I have.
That's shocking.
I've jerked off on it.
Yeah.
It feels wonderful.
Yeah. Well, sex as well.
Okay.
So yeah. And
it's not even like real masturbation,
and
real sex.
McKenna's theory was that these proto-hominids were eating these mushrooms, getting better at hunting, and this creates this kind of like loop, right? A behavior pattern where it's like, as we're hunting these things, eat the stuff growing off their shit, and you're going to be more tuned in with nature, and the hunt's going to go better. And so now we've got a symbiotic relationship emerges between this fungus and these proto-hominids, and that symbiotic relationship created this expansion of the neocortex, which eventually created human beings. So his premise is human evolution, totally related to mushrooms. And also language, mythology, all of these things. Like, it's a really cool theory. He cites, I can't remember it's an anthropologist whose amazing premise was that this thing that we have right now, our thinking mind, when you're walking around and you're thinking to yourself, you know what? I don't think it's a good idea to call that guy up and tell them to fuck off, because that's going to create a lot of turbulence in my life. Or if you're thinking, I'm going to try to run this light, and some part of your mind's like, don't do that, are you idiot? You're going to get hit by a car, right? Yeah. We know that's our mind telling us that. But in the early days, as the frontal lobe was developing, that voice was a vision. So
voice in your shoulder.
Exactly. And that was God. So this thing that is now we know is just our mind. In the early days, they thought it was as the brain was emerging, they thought they were hearing God.
Yeah.
And so when you're taking mushrooms,
the unexplained has always been God, right?
Well, it's just that our brain, like the really cool idea is it's like now there's this clear division between sleeping and waking.
It's like, how come we don't fly off the earth? How come we always stay there? Like, and then people are like, Jesus? I guess. And you're like, no, later we found gravity. Gravity.
And even that's misunderstood even to this day. But so dreaming and waking used to be merged together was the idea. So it wasn't like there was this clear division. So people were living in more of a dream state, Mm-hmm. And so in that dream state, there's all these mythologies that were happening. And that dream state was theoretically being amplified by the ritualistic consumption of psychedelics. And that's McKenna's theory, which is, and it's so funny that the modern day religion is like, I was just talking to Magical about this, and it's like, if psychedelics were a primary component in religious ritual for millennia, then that means that now when people go to church, it's like people sitting around a stack of firewood that isn't lit, and holding their hands against it and being like, oh, what a great campfire. Do you feel the warmth?
Do you imagine it?
Yeah.
Dude, I had this long talk with my friend. He's a rabbi now, my friend from high school, Avi. And when he comes to visit New York on like recruiting trips to take kids to yeshiva, like to go to his yeshiva instead of other ones, we visit, We start talking about mushrooms this time. And I was like, why not? Why don't you take him? He goes, are you crazy? I'm a fucking rabbi in a settlement in Israel. Right. I have a flock of people that listen to me. And I'm like, I know, man, but think about it. It's not acid. It's not man making a drug. This is just naturally growing.
Yeah.
So in your world, why would God put this on here?
Right.
Apples aren't bad except that one time.
Yeah.
So, like, why wouldn't you take it? It's almost a slap in the face to God to not smoke weed, to not do mushrooms.
Great question. What did he say?
He goes, I hear what you're saying. We can talk more about it, but I would lose my job. So we gotta listen. I'm like, yeah, but you should.
As a rabbi, I'd lose my job if I actually connected with God.
Yeah.
As a rabbi, we're not allowed to actually connect with nature. We have to.
Now I realize I gotta get him on mushrooms.
We have to pretend connect. If I start actually connecting, well, then, oh man, things go south. And and this is the great drought that our species is considered to be in right now. Is that this thing that was just normal? Like, you take it, it's great, it's a wonderful gift. It's given to us. It's the word. It's some of the Mexican mushroom cults, they refer to mushrooms as the flesh of God. And
body of Christ.
The body of Christ. And it's like...
compels you.
And you're not allowed to take real communion.
It's like a fake. Imagine taking shiitake mushrooms and like now dance around for 8 hours and pretend like you're...
Yeah.
Oh,
it's sad. It's sad. And when you take the risk of...
because Christians fucked up Christianity.
As people fuck up, it's just the way of things that people want to create this sense of. So here's the thing, man. A lot of people, if they had to pick between really hearing from God, as a thought experiment, imagine there's a God.
Yeah.
If you had to pick between really hearing from God or your imaginary friend that you call God, a lot of people are going to stick with the imaginary friend. Because it's a lot easier. Because that thing's going to tell you what you want to hear. Whereas when you take a psychedelic and you are given the gift of seeing some aspect of yourself that needs work, that's not what you want to hear. And it's not going to let you get away from that until you acknowledge it. Like, okay, I see it. And then you can really start improving and healing yourself. So a lot of people don't really want to deal with the responsibility.
Well, there's that too. Sometimes like mushrooms, I'm like, I can't right now. I can't deal with this shit right now. Give me a few weeks, then maybe I can deal with it.
Yeah.
So get back to Dostoevsky and Sartre, I think you were saying.
Yeah.
I got sidetracked up.
Oh, yeah. So you get these two schools of thought. Like, one of them is...
And by the way, I haven't smoked weed all day, and I will like to blame that for me remembering where we jumped off.
Oh, wow. That's cool. Yeah. So you're having some neurological impairment from your fucking weed consumption.
It's starting to become a problem.
Oh, yeah. You got to take a break, man.
Yeah. Renazisi said it, too. He goes, I played Memory with my 5-year-old, that game with all the cards. You have to match the two. And he goes, he beats me easily.
Can I present a more horrifying hypothesis to why your memory's fucked up?
Well, I'm getting older and not reading ever.
Yeah. Because that's the really scary thing.
I talked to these guys who make, who are like top level crossword puzzle makers in San Francisco. And they're real smart people. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, I'm forgetful because it's the, I smoke weed. And they're like, we smoke weed. Like, maybe it's because you haven't read a book in fucking a decade and a half, man.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
It really isn't. The marijuana consumption probably isn't helping. But definitely it's more like somebody who's like eating big bowls of pasta.
I haven't played basketball in 10 years. I'm not going to still be good at basketball.
Yeah, you're just not reading enough.
Big bowls of pasta, what are you going to say?
Well, it's like you're pretending that it's like even though you're right to some degree, I'm not saying marijuana doesn't have clear from time to time. It obviously creates like this weird extra millisecond between summoning up a memory if you're massively consuming it. But yeah, man, the really scary thing is you want to blame it on weed, because if you're blaming your memory impairment on weed, then it means it's a fixable problem. But
I can just go off this and I'm okay.
Yeah, no, you're getting old. Your brain might be atrophied or something. There could be a million other problems that even aren't related. But maybe it's the weed too.
I just finished my 3rd book in a decade.
Audible, baby.
Yeah,
Audible. It transforms your life.
This podcast is sponsored by Audible.com. If you go to audible.com/nothing, you can go get...
Why don't you have an
books.
Audible?
What?
Audible. Here, I have one. Audible's.
Oh, there you go. He's Duncan's.
Audible.com/family hour. You'll get one free book.
There you go.
Get The Archaic Revival by Terrence McKenna. It'll blow your fucking mind.
I like giving people reads for nothing. Where it's like, well, it's a good product. They don't sponsor me, but still a good product.
It's super cool, man, because...
Family hour.
Oh, that book is so good, too,
What's
man.
it called?
The Archaic Revival.
The Archaic Revival.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll do that. I'll listen to it on a plane.
Sign up. Use my fucking thing. You won't have to pay for it. It's free.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You'll get a free book.
Nice.
But the...
Does it come for Alias 2s?
For what?
Does it come...
For your little phone?
Yeah.
Does it play MP3s, your phone?
It does, maybe.
Then it'll work.
Maybe.
You just have to figure out how to get it in there.
Yeah.
If it plays sound files, it'll probably work, I guess. I don't know for sure.
Wave files.
But here's the point.
But anyway, yeah.
So
Dostoevsky.
a lot of people, they hear this amazing concept, and it really is my favorite concept these days, which is, and I fucking love it, which is where you're at right now, you're there because you got yourself here.
Got yourself there. You're a product of everything you've done.
That's it.
You're a sum of all your parts. Yeah. You got yourself there. And for every time and then I go, okay, fuck, so my career's not where it should be. Well, not now. 5 years ago. And then it's like, okay, so it's not. So you're not where fucking Justin Nick is or where so-and-so is or where so-and-so is. But you're still not there. So move on or fucking kill yourself. What do you want to do? You're here. So now going forward, where do you want to be?
Well, do you
want to be a karate black belt? So start taking karate, man.
Just, and to me, so if you want to live your life as a victim, and you want to pretend that there are forces greater than you that have taken you down some dark road, like a little boy who got just pulled by some demon into the dark woods. Yeah. And now
my dad left. My dad wasn't around.
Whatever it is, whatever your excuses, whatever the story is telling you. What?
Like Bill Gates' dad?
Yeah. What?
Also wasn't around? Like.
Yeah, right. Oh, yeah, right.
So like, that's your problem?
Exactly. But it's a great, so if you want someone who likes to live according to a mythology where you're a victim, then this kind of philosophy is awful. Because you want to believe that you're powerless. You want to believe that you have been out. You have been. You weren't playing with a full deck.
I had no chance.
You had no chance.
Instead of, I'm the reason why it's not going well.
Yes. And that.
Oh, I didn't get that part. They're hiring other people. It's like, I guess, man.
You aren't working hard enough. You aren't good enough right now because you haven't been working hard enough. Yeah. That's it. You're not fucking
working hard enough to get the thing that you now want to get.
Yeah, exactly, man. Your memory is gone because you're fucking not reading, man. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like so this idea is really not a happy idea for a lot of people who love to feel like they're victimized. But the thing is,
it is empowering though.
It's the most empowering
because you're like, oh, I got fucked from now by myself, but wow, I can change it.
Yes,
no one else can change it.
You get to decide. The point is, if you're the one defining yourself, and this is where all the atheist existentialists really love rattling the theist cages because they're like, okay, let's say there is a God. Well, then I'm better than God because God is a thing that God is a defined thing. It's got this God is like a God like Zeus this stagnant, never changing thing. Whereas I get to constantly define myself in every single moment.
Be almost whatever I want.
Exactly.
The average American in their life has 4 careers.
Wow.
Not jobs, but careers.
That's cool.
Like selling real estate, being a therapist. Fucking, like different complete careers.
That's
4
cool. That's cool.
Is average. So it's like, you can completely change who you are.
You can completely change it, and it's a joy, and that's where it gets into like the happy existentialism, which is like, listen, man, you're not a victim. You're not the universe is not against you or for you.
But this is what existentialism is.
Yeah, this is where it goes. We're talking. You were talking that in the same way that it's a curse on one side to not be a thing and to always be forced into the embarrassing predicament of constantly putting yourself forward as a thing. It's also identically a blessing, which is that because you're not a thing, you're not damned, you're not doomed. There's no manacle of selfness that has been clasped around you, forcing you to act in some certain way. All those things that you say you are in your dating profile, that's just a story that you tell the world about a fictional character that you've invented that you say is yourself. It's not yourself at all. And this is the beauty of this philosophy, which is that you are free. You're ultimately absolutely free, and your attempt at constructing a self is really the terrified running of a person desperately trying to escape the awful experience of true boundarylessness and true absolute freedom. So that's we don't want freedom. A lot of people are like, America, freedom. You don't want freedom. You don't want freedom.
You want people running shit for you.
Yeah. You want people running shit, telling you who you are, telling you what you are. You want to feel victimized.
It's way easier. Just get on the train.
That's it.
Just get on the train. Hopefully it's not going to Auschwitz.
That's it.
Yeah. Hopefully it's going to fucking Vegas instead.
Yeah. And use the symbol systems that have been invented by people from a long time ago to define your universe. Do all these things because it's way easier than to deal with the real incredible predicament, which is like, here's the deal, man. It's between you and all this stuff that you think isn't you. And that's the conversation. That's it. It's a conversation between the thing you think is you and everything else. So
at that point, do you then get... Well, wait, did we get to what Kierkegaard said about God? And Dostoevsky?
Well, Dostoevsky said the Saul of the Damascus experience is not a conversion that happened because of some power that God injected into Saul, but rather it was a moment in all the zillions of moments that Saul was having in his life that he used as an excuse to become a better person.
Right.
So that's it. So this is why in Alcoholics Anonymous you hear the necessity of a higher power, right? Or like Bill Wilson said, liked LSD because he recognized that the only thing that was going to save him from alcoholism was a mystical experience. That's how he put it. And a lot of things about AA I disagree with in the sense that I think it's another form of, forgive me because it saves people's lives and I totally get it, but I think that again, it maybe is another trick that you tell yourself, like it's it's my alcoholism. I'm not an asshole, right? But I mean, maybe you need that story to keep.
A lot of stuff in life is just tricks. You're like, I'm just gonna say.
But if the trick works, fantastic. If it keeps you from killing yourself or running over a bunch of school kids or burning your house down or destroying your liver, then God damn it, that's a fantastic fucking story. Stick to it, man. Stick to it. It's a great fucking story. And I'm sorry if that comes off as condescending. I don't think it is at all. And I love
Fuck them.
I love that AA exists. It's fantastic. It's great. Any self-help program that I know is floating out in the great turbulent ocean of my own drug use, that at some point, if I want to, I can clamber onto some shore.
I had a chiropractor say that he was like, "Oh, let me fix your back." And he tried to take in kind of like Scientology, where it's like your past experiences are what's fucking up your back a little bit. Mm-hmm. So you got to like get to those, like how was your mom treating you and stuff like that when you were little. And it's like, okay, I don't know how this is going to help my muscles. And he goes, oh, you got to believe in it or it won't work.
Right.
And I'm like, then I'm out of here because I can't just now believe in it because you're asking me to. Like,
oh my God, that's hilarious. Just crack the back, please. I've got it. By the way, if you need a good chiropractor, I got a great one in Pasadena. He's amazing, and he doesn't do any crystal bullshit. He just, and the other reason I think he's great, I went there twice in a row because I threw my back out recently. And the second time, he's like, no, that's it. You're done.
What do you mean? No, you don't come back anymore.
Yeah. He's like, I think that's
an honest
it.
Mechanic.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's a good chiropractor.
So in existentialism, it's on us to fix ourselves. How much do other people, what kind of place in our lives do other people take up? Like in The Stranger, when they were all ready to they're laughing at him and they're ready for him to get hanged. Because he wouldn't cry about his mom.
Right.
He killed an Arab on the beach. And that's not the biggest issue because the Arabs didn't matter at the time.
Sure.
And so all he had to do, they was trying to show how he didn't even cry for his mother when his mother died. And he goes, I wasn't really close to my mom. Why should I?
Yeah.
And his lawyer's like, just cry for your mom on the stand and we can get you off. He goes, but I don't feel that way about her. We weren't that close.
Right.
And then as they're like saying, this guy got to be hanged, he goes, I hope you're happy when I get hanged. I don't give a fuck about your feelings. I hope you laugh at me, and I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Like, he stopped caring about anyone else completely.
Well, I mean, I think that's that's definitely one. The point is, he gets, at that moment, when he's, like, being aggressive out of anger, he's deciding to be that way, right? So it just keeps going back to this, to how do you deal with people? Well, how do you want to deal with people?
Right.
It's like, how do you want to treat people? Do you want to treat people like some kind of fucking like puffed up college student and act like, look at you fools playing make believe, like I said earlier, or you don't have to be like that. You can recognize it, but really, this is why I really love what the Ramdas people say, which is that we work on ourselves
Yeah.
So we can help the people closest to us. So if you've like unburdened yourself of the stupid illusion that you're a victim in this world, and you've unburdened yourself, and then you automatically unburden
other people around you
that you've blamed for your problems.
Oh.
So instantaneously, you've taken this terrible, stupid thing that you've attached to your mom, your dad, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your neighbor. You've removed that from them because now they're free. If they hurt you, whoever they were when they were hurting you, they're probably not that person anymore. But the main point is you're the one. Almost always, you're the one who's continuing the game of, oh, I've been victimized. Oh, I've been hurt. Oh, I'm the martyr. You're the one. So the moment you drop that game, you can start having fun with people again.
Yeah.
Because this person it's like, a great example of this, man, is like.
With the people who you think victimized you?
Yeah.
Right.
You can forgive them.
Yeah.
This is forgiveness. So like the other day I was like laying in bed and, I've got this poodle. And I don't know why.
Oh, that little one's a poodle?
It's a poodle. And right around 6:30 a.m., the poodle has got to piss.
Yeah.
Right? And the way it lets us know it's got to piss is by emitting the most shrill, like smoke detector level barks at like 6:30. Yeah, that's it. And so like I'm laying in bed. Now the remedy for that, there's remedies for this. The remedy is either I get in a schedule where I wake up early and walk the poodle.
Not likely.
Or I put earplugs in. And then I won't hear the barking as much and I might sleep through it. Maybe there'll be a little piss I have to clean up. No big deal. We don't have carpets, right? So as the poodle is barking in the morning, waking me up, my initial habitual response is, that fucking little fucking poodle. I can't believe this motherfucker is waking me up, man. God damn it.
It was always going to.
Always going to.
Yeah.
And he's not trying to hurt me. He's got to pee. And really, it's my fault. I'm the one who didn't put earplugs in.
Oh, yeah.
I'm the one who didn't get on the new schedule.
Blame it on someone else.
So I'm trying to blame it on the poodle when the poodle's just doing what a poodle does. It's me, all the way through. The poodle didn't do a goddamn thing. Obviously, it's a fucking poodle. It's not a monster. It's a sweetie. So all that anger,
it's a poodle.
All that anger that my habituation was going to suddenly put in the direction of this poodle, now I get to turn it right back into myself, and I get to have the relief that comes from realizing, oh yeah, this is me.
And then you're not even mad. You're not even mad at yourself. You're not like, fucking asshole, Duncan.
No.
Why don't you put goddamn plugs in? You're just like, oh, what an idiot. Oh, well, all right.
It's uncomfortable right now, and I can fix it. And now instead of me feeling like I'm in hell, where hell being...
you can also fix it, too. You can be like, I got to go out and get earplugs today.
I'll fix the problem.
Yeah.
I'll get on a new schedule. I'll figure out a way to get the poodle. Maybe I need to walk the poodle at night, late night before I go to bed. The point is...
You can't let it out here, huh?
I will...
Coyotes.
What?
Can't let it out in this neighborhood.
If I watch it, I can let it out in the back because there's a fence. But you have to watch them because the coyotes will come over the fence. But anyway, the whole point is... almost everything's like that.
Yeah.
Almost everything's like that. And the moment you realize that, you start getting these wonderful moments of relief where you're like, I created this for myself.
I had this thing with Fitzsimmons, with Don Barris, where they have rage issues.
Right.
Problems. But like Fitzsimmons was saying something about he got into a fight with a guy who was doing the tickets at a parking lot, and he was rude to him, whatever, and he went back out, and he started yelling at each other. I think they might have got into a fist fight or something.
Yeah.
And Barris, too. Barris got maced in the face by some guy, cut him off, and he fucking ran up to this guy and cut him back off.
Yeah.
And then he pulled over, like, yo, let's fucking pull over, man. And he gets out of his car, and he rolls down the window, the guy just maced Barris in the face. And he goes, that's that guy. He did that to me. I'm like, I know, but Barris, if the first time he cut you off, you just were like, oh, Jesus, I guess you're in a rush.
Yeah.
Fucking relax, bro, and let it go. Then you don't get mace in your face.
That's right.
Then you have a mace-free face.
Right.
And Fitzsimmons, I'm like, you would just ignore, you wouldn't even remember this guy.
Right.
He wouldn't even be part of your brain anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
You just go rude and walk away. Then you won't even have the memory of it instead of having to go to court.
And also the implication of making these decisions and I think that there could be like some, you could say there are exceptions too, of course, man.
Exceptions.
It's not some universe.
Raping somebody, you might want to step in.
Yeah, there's exceptions, but in general,
yeah.
without looking at the outliers, if you believe in a universe where you're being buffeted by the winds of circumstance, which is what a victim is, it's somebody floating on a boat in an ocean of phenomena, and certain phenomena are pushing that boat in random directions.
Certain way you got on a different Gulf Stream.
Yeah, then you're
different directions.
Then you're living a life of someone who's adrift at sea. But the moment you start accepting that you're the one who's responsible for your navigation, and that you can navigate these waters of phenomena in whatever way that you choose, because you're the one deciding the shape of the boat, the shape of the rudder.
Yeah, I always have hangovers. Like, guess what? Maybe I should start doing some weed instead of alcohol.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Then suddenly your life goes from being this in a rut to being a grand adventure, because now you get to you're the one who is leading the way. You're the one who's forging out into the unknown, and you're the one who's deciding whether you're in heaven or hell. And that's a really wonderful way to be.
Yeah. Do you think in existentialism, is there an inevitability where you become completely cold to other humans? Where it's all about like yourself and your being, and then it's almost like other people, not even like fuck them, but it's almost like they don't matter one way or the other. Where it's like 9/11 happened, you're like, yes, well, people die all the time.
Well, I mean, I think existentialism or not.
Yeah.
If most people do an honest analysis of the way they feel when some disaster happens in the world, unless you knew someone in the disaster, you might feel a moment of like sadness, but that moment of sadness is usually fleeting. So it's not really.
I'm having this problem right now with Brussels, where I'm like, change the channel. Like, what? I don't care. I mean, it's not like I'm like good, but I just like, why am I hearing about this?
Well, I mean, yeah.
I'd rather watch Narcos.
I mean, I think the question you're asking is existentialism going to help you become an honest person? And I think the answer is absolutely. It's going to help you become an honest person, which means that if you're going to put on a charade, in other words,
you're not going to put on a charade.
If you're going to, at least you know you're doing it.
Oh, so, I'm doing this because I'm at a place right now where it'll be bad if I don't pretend to cry.
It was like I was at a party once, and like I remember, like who was it?
Honest with yourself.
Who was it? There was a Jesus fucking Christ, man, I can't remember. It was some race trial, and it was remember that the guy kind of looks like Freddy, who like ended up killing that poor black kid in the neighborhood who had candy. What was that guy's name? He's like always getting George Zimmerman, right?
Yeah, so, that kind of looked like Freddy.
so George Zimmerman, like we're at some dumb party, barbecue, right? And
You met him?
I didn't meet Zimmerman.
Okay, yeah.
That would be hilarious. I was at a party with
George Zimmerman.
Now, this is when he was on trial. So I'm at this barbecue, and George Zimmerman gets off the hook, right? And so it's this like really god awful, greasy fucking hipster barbecue. Like I'd rather be like.
And there's only one way to go on this for all those people. There's only one thing to say.
All right.
It's terrible.
Well, yeah, and most of them, to their credit, just like ignored it.
Oh, that's good.
But this one guy is there with his girlfriend, and she, somebody announces Zimmerman got off the hook, and she's just like, I have to leave. Really loud.
Really loud, so everyone can
like if I'm leaving a party, I'm going to be like...
It's the Irish goodbye.
If I like shit my pants or something, or like I'm sick, you know what I mean? I'm not going to be like, guys... I shit my pants. I shit my pants, so I'm leaving the party. You all know that, right? I
let the people in the kitchen know.
Let everyone know, because I can't control my bowels. I shit my pants. But of course,
it's only stuff you're proud of, so you're trying to brag about your like drama.
She's welling up with we've got to go. Makes a big show of storming out, and that's a show.
Yeah.
She put on a show, and in this version of this show, everyone becomes suddenly.
That's what you hear.
That's the shriek of the little bastard. That's Cora coming back. I love him though. He's my favorite. He's one of my favorite things on earth.
He's pretty nice.
But so clearly this is a performance, right? Now she gets to pretend that she's a very sensitive person whose whole life has been truly disrupted by this event that happened so far away that the mainstream media is pumping up and putting out, and she gets to pretend that she's some kind of like Silver Lake Gandhi who has been right?
Yeah.
Who's been
I like that term.
who's been rocked to the core of her being by this verdict, right?
Yeah.
And so when she goes home with her boyfriend, he gets to play the game of the comforting boyfriend, and she gets to play the game of the disrupted saint. And this is a very fun game to play, but ultimately it's just a game. So the difference is you still get to play the same games you're playing, but you just know that you're playing the game, and you know that the person you're with is playing the game, and then from that you can get really into the game and have fun with the game. I mean, this is what Ram Dass talks about.
What do you mean, have fun with the game?
So
in this situation, how would you do it?
So Ram Dass talks about like this.
Okay.
You and me are playing Monopoly, right?
Yeah.
Now Monopoly is Ram
Dass talks about Monopoly?
What?
Ram Dass talks about Monopoly?
Talks about everything.
Oh, he lives now.
What?
He lives now?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Monopoly is a very vicious game, right?
Yeah.
It's a vicious.
You have to bankrupt someone completely.
Yeah.
I don't want you just poor. I want you out of money.
It's
and
vicious.
then I'll win.
And when you play it when like my brother and me and my dad sit around to play Monopoly, we are so mean to each other. And we have this dollar bill called the dollar of shame.
You ever hear Metzger's joke about Monopoly?
No.
What do you think happened to the economy? Here's what I think happened. I'm not smart, like I said, but this is what I think. Did you ever play Monopoly with your family and been in charge of the bank and not stolen money from the bank? Did anybody not? Not because you're even a bad person, just you got a little behind on Ventnor or whatever, you know? You're a good person. You were going to put the money back. The second you pass go, you're going to put it back. Things just got out of hand. Yeah, so that's how all of you apparently would treat your whole your family to get some toy money. That's what you would do to your own family. So just now imagine it's a real bank with real money, and you're playing against strangers that you don't even give a shit about. How well do you think you would do in that position? Seeing as how you would step on your own mother's throat for an orange $500 bill. How well do you think you'd do with And that is how the economy works.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, it's still a game, though. Of course, in real money, there is no such thing.
Yeah.
So you and me are playing Monopoly.
Yeah.
And we're playing it. When my family plays it, we all get very ferocious because it's part of the fun. Being a cunt when you're playing, it's fun.
What minute was that at?
This is at 1:17.
Okay.
Because you have to delete it because you told his joke.
I told this so bad. I'm gonna download his joke and put it in
cool.
right there.
So anyway, the whole point is, if you and I decide to play a game of Monopoly, right? Like after this podcast, for some reason, we decide to play the longest, most boring, annoying fucking game in America. And we just, this is how Ram Dass puts it. If we're playing it, like this is just a game. Let's roll the dice, move the character, let's put the money, and it's just a game, and we just know it's a game. What's the point?
There's no point.
It's the most boring, stupid.
There's no point.
It's just we might as well just sit and like roll dice.
The dice was gonna roll a 7 this time, so I guess it's a 7.
Right. So
it was always gonna be that.
So we can play Monopoly on both levels. We can play it on the level of knowing that this is a game and that we're committed to the roles of playing the game, while simultaneously being free of that of the burden of like being stuck playing Monopoly forever. So in the same way, when you go out into the world, it doesn't mean that you have to suddenly pretend that everything's meaningless or everything has meaning. It just means that you can just as much commit to your
Let's get
role.
into it. Kind of like when you watch Singled Out with Jim Painter in the phone room. And he's like, I can't believe you chose that girl over that girl.
Exactly.
You treat it like a Super Bowl. I'm like, that's a more fun way to watch Singled Out.
Exactly.
Or whatever that show was. Eliminate. That's what it was. Eliminate.
That's it, dude. You can still do
So
it.
then you see a girl like that. So come back to the party and you go, oh my God, I'm so bad for her. Hopefully she feels better. Or the other way, it's like, what a fucking toolbox.
Or somewhere.
However you want to play the game when she's gone.
you can do it's completely up to you. It really just comes down to intention.
One time, me and Cater and Stephanie Escajeda were eating at El Cholo in Western, and she goes, I might have told you this before, but she goes, I think I have a crush on somebody. And I go, do you want us to ask you who it was? And Aaron Cater goes, Ari, sometimes you should be in the moment instead of about the moment.
That's it. Yeah, exactly. You don't have to you can, because it's like, okay.
It was you.
If a little kid, I remember you telling me that story.
Okay.
If a kid comes up to me and says, I'm a policeman, you're under arrest.
You don't go, idiot. No, you're not, you fucking moron, idiot.
So I guess I'm supposed to play make-believe like you're a fucking policeman and I'm under arrest? No, you're like, okay, I guess you got me, officer. And
just go have some fun.
And it's fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So in the same way, you can do that because it's like the idea is when I go to another culture, I don't expect them all to speak English. Even though it's like a kind of arbitrary thing, we're all just making noises out of our mouths. It's not like I'm like, you guys got to make the same noise I'm making out of my mouth.
Let's just do it. Let's play the game.
I'm going to, abide by your culture while I'm here instead of trying to. So in the same way, if you're entering into someone else's reality tunnel, you don't need to get them to start acting like they're in your reality tunnel.
So when something happens like Brussels, like an attack on a first world country, a first world white country that we're supposed to care about, then at some point it's like, let's just go it's really horrible, you guys. I mean, imagine the loss of life, and it's just not great.
Well, I mean, George Carlin has a fantastic joke, something along the lines of, I love it when horrible things happen and lots of people die.
Because he's a comic?
What?
Because he's a comic?
He's just being honest. He's if you really look at okay, if you're watching the news and some awful thing happens, if you really felt bad when the awful thing happened, bad, I don't know if you've ever gotten the phone call, but you inevitably in life you get the phone call.
Oh yeah,
somebody died. You've gotten the phone call, Freddie.
Oh yeah,
you got the phone call.
Oh yeah, what a terrible.
Remember how that felt?
Oh.
So if the news was generating that feeling in you at every single moment, no one would watch the fucking news.
No, watching news is too much.
No one's going to tune into the thing that makes them feel like they've been punched in a psychic solar plexus every second.
Maybe that's what it is too with Brussels, where it's like, I just went through this. I just can't care anymore. It's too many times in a row.
No, people watch the news because they feel good. There's a voyeuristic sense of joy that happens to a person when they're watching horror in other parts of the world. It makes them feel cozy and excited. It makes them feel like the world is a dangerous, scary place. But usually it's just some variety of, if you really look at the way you're feeling, it's a kind of noxious, positive feeling. It's not like you're really feeling terrible. If you really felt terrible, you wouldn't watch the news any more than you would put your hand on an electric fence over and over again.
Well, it's like those people who refuse to watch that movie about the documentary about the slaughterhouses for cows. And it's like, you won't eat meat after that. Oh, well, then I'm not going to watch that.
Right.
Because I enjoy eating meat. Don't
want to watch it. It's too much. It's like, it feels bad. So it feels really the honest, really what you just do is an honest analysis of yourself. And you're like, oh yeah, this kind of feels good when there's, if it's more than numb, then mostly it feels kind of interesting or something. But it's when you watch Brussels, is it a mark of you as some kind of sociopath because you don't break into tears or explode in horror? No, it's just
it's not close enough to you, really.
It's not close enough. I actually drew this once, the Schadenfreude bell curve, which is because there's a bell curve associated with it, which is based on distance. So you can draw this bell curve, you can draw a graph, where you are, the person next to you, to a person on the other side of the planet. And then you can have on that graph, on the vertical part, you can have makes you feel bad, and at the very top is exciting, and or something like that. Or no, I can't remember how it goes. I'll show it to you. But the whole point is there's an actual chart that you can make where the further away something is, it's because sharks.
Versus horror, then it's
here, I'll just draw it out so you can see it. All right, so. So here, let me see your notebook.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to Schadenfreude, which is the German name for enjoyment from someone else's suffering, right? Mm-hmm. So the bell curve, it looks like this. So here we have it's actually kind of wrong, but here we have
bell curve looks like Snapchat.
Well, it looks like exactly. It's a bell curve, right? So right here this is distance, like in miles at the bottom part, right? So here we have like 1 mile. Here, let's just say
1,000 miles.
1,000 miles, right?
Okay.
1,000 miles. And so basically
What is the up and down?
So this is pleasure versus like displeasure, yeah.
And so here, if you were in Brussels and your dad got killed.
Well, like if right now my head exploded. Like for whatever reason, I ate some weird shit earlier today and my head exploded and my brain splattered all over your face.
I would have extreme displeasure.
Yeah, like someone walked in and shot me in front of you. Yeah. It's not going to feel good, right? This is displeasure, right?
So because I'm too close to it.
So here, like if
OJ's head exploded.
Yeah, and this is the middle of the bell curve.
I'd be like, well, that's hilarious.
Pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
And then if somewhere in like Zambia, a kid gets eaten by a hyena, it's like, this is where the thing gets a little disruptive because it's not like it's displeasure.
It's just like, don't care.
It's like a numb...
Lack of pleasure.
Lack of pleasure. So that's a Schadenfreude bell curve. So right there in the middle of the curve, you got shit in your country, in your city, and the further it goes away, then the more the kind of... I don't know how to work on it.
In 9/11, I found that people that were in New York take a bigger pride in it. Like it's our suffering, it's our pain. And then the people who actually lost someone took an even bigger pleasure in their pain.
Yeah.
And then the further away you got Americans took like, well, it's our pain, it's our suffering, but not as bad as New Yorkers. Same thing with Boston, with the marathon bombing. And then like, you know, if you get to another country, it's like, I don't fucking know.
Here's the real thing, man. If I'm in Belgium and my girlfriend who was going to a Starbucks to get some coconut lattes for us gets transformed into hamburger meat in front of me, right?
Yeah.
I don't give a shit about someone in the United States crying over this event because I'm caught in my own hellish ocean of sorrow and grief.
I could hear them like a year later going, yeah, it was really tough for me when I heard that. You'd be like, fuck you. It wasn't hard for you.
It's just, and really, if like you're someone in the United States who's feeling this level of empathy, and some people really feel it, man.
Some people do, yeah.
Then what you got to do is help. You've got to figure out, is there money that I can give? Is there something I can some way I can physically help these people over there? But all you have to do is you have to ask yourself, how much am I putting on a show here? How much am I like doing this thing not as a device because I really care for the people of Belgium, but because I'm angry at my boyfriend or girlfriend and I'm going to use my upset horror at Belgium to walk around like a dick.
So I could be that diva for a little while.
Yes.
Yeah.
And quite often what you see again and again and again is that you are veiling your aggression in this, or you're putting the iron fist of your aggression in a boxing glove of your empathy. And underneath it all, which is why when you get around a person who is one of these like vehement activists, you feel like, you don't know why, but you feel like in all this talk of love and peace, they're beating your fucking head in somehow.
Right.
You know, and that's the
and act teaches that people get happiness, and when something horrible goes wrong that they already thought it would. He said Palestinians, Israelis. So the Israelis, when there's a bomb, they'll be like, see, I told you about the Palestinians.
Right.
Instead of like, fuck, people died.
Yeah. Which is really what's happening. I mean, that's the real thing. Is it's just like you're looking at these like, anytime like a Belgium thing happens. I mean, these are subjective supernovas that are happening. Like these are. I mean, if you want to, if you do a little bit of there's a few maneuvers you can mentally make to connect with what's going on over there, which is you have to take it into your own life. So it's like when I think of a person like in Belgium, when that awfulness went down, I just thought of the times that Cora has gotten me coffee. And I thought about the one time she goes to get me coffee and doesn't come back. And that's what happened.
And then you can feel like,
then you get it.
The actual people.
But then that can't even approximate what it's like. Because we're talking about, these are black.
That's an acting exercise instead of actual feeling it.
You just can't feel, you don't want to feel it. These are black holes. Like whenever this shit goes down, a black hole is opened up in someone's life. A black hole that'll always be there until they die.
But it's also like, I ain't going to do anything about it. I don't want to think about that shit.
I mean,
I just want to take it in. I don't want to take it in.
Well, this is like,
I want to enjoy the nice, beautiful day out.
This Michael Beckwith this guy, like, I used to go to this Agape church, this guy Michael Beckwith.
Yeah. Agape?
Yeah, he would say use these events not as like a thing to like be upset about or freak out about or like to put yourself in a negative state. He's like, use every single one of these awful events as what he said is a prayer sheet. He's like, if there's anything, if any of these events happen, what use is it to like shudder in horror or shake your fist at the world or go dark? What's the use? Figure out a way, in the same way that Saul of Tarsus used this imaginary hallucination of Jesus to be a better person. If you really want to do something good for the world, then make the 28 or 30 people, and there'll be more who will die from their injuries, use it as an excuse to live a better life. Uses it as an excuse to do something in your own personal life that doesn't suck. That's what you do. Use it as an excuse.
It's almost like if you hear something like, and this guy always want to go skydiving, like, yeah, maybe I will to honor him. Maybe I'll finally go skydiving.
There you go, man. Because I'll tell you, man, that's all you could do. Yeah. Do something fucking amazing and use the people in Belgium as an excuse to do that. So that you know, and really, if you really want to think about an incredible antidote to terrorism, if every time there was some terrorist attack, the result was that every single person on the planet
went skydiving.
Spent an entire went skydiving.
Went on a hike, fished for the first time in a decade.
Yeah. Then really we would be winning.
It'd be great. That's kind of like what Obi-Wan Kenobi did. He's like, in death, I'll give you more power than you've ever had.
That's it, man. Yeah, that's that, and that's way better than, you know, shuffling around some party with being crocodile tears.
Being actively, outwardly upset.
Yeah. I mean, and that's also kind of cool if somebody asks, well, why did you decide to go skydiving? Belgium.
Yeah.
Some people got blown up in an airport, and I realized that the only way I could really honor them is by doing some incredibly novel thing that in my life, I'm bringing my girlfriend skydiving for Belgium.
If there's ever a terrorist attack in Australia, I'll wear some fucking shitty Oakleys and bright yellow tank tops in honor of all the bogans who couldn't live their bogan lives.
There you go. Yeah, there you go, man. That's it. That's the way to do it. Use it as an excuse, because that's really all anything is. You're just deciding to do something.
Yeah. You think you used to be an existentialist? I don't think you are anymore, are you?
Well, I mean,
maybe you are.
I don't know. I love it. I mean, I really enjoy that. I don't think I'm a victim.
I never took philosophy class in college, but that's the one I always like. When I heard about it, I was like, yeah, it's me.
You know, man, I got to hesitate on labeling myself as an existentialist because as much as I may have yapped about it just now, my understanding of it, I'm sure, is foggy and rudimentary.
Whatever.
So I wouldn't. You know, again, it's like I don't really choose to label myself as anything. I mean, like kind of
right. You enjoy existentialism, I guess.
I love it. And one thing that you said that I really like is like the older you get, that you start getting into this. You know, there's something called the long, dark night of the soul, which is where you realize that all the symbol structures that you thought were real are actually just an imaginary thing. And you go through this terrible period of free fall where you're like, oh, shit, man.
Become an adult. The government's not smarter than you. Nothing is like what you thought it was.
No guru.
Yeah.
No religion.
I'll just float.
Nothing can save me. And then and that sucks for a second. But then all of a sudden you're like, wow. Holy shit, my parents left and they're not coming back. The fucking thing on the refrigerator saying when I got to go to bed and what I'm supposed to eat, I'm going to throw it away. and then that's when you get to be a person, and that's when you get to truly be a human.
Take credit for your own decisions.
Yeah, and that includes like throw away the fucking label of existentialist, throw away the fucking label of Buddhist or spiritual person or whatever.
It's almost like political parties where it's like you don't have to say I'm a complete Democrat or a complete Republican. You can be like, I like this stuff from that group, I like that stuff from that group, and then this is who I am overall. This weird like 2,000, 2 million different things that make up who you are.
A hive of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's really a blast.
I mean, even the radio stations you listen to. If I listen to alt rock, there's an occasional song on there. I'm like, I fucking hate this band, But like overall, I like the songs.
Yeah, and you
just can't find a playlist that's exactly you because everyone's so unique.
Yeah, man, and it's like most of the things that you've been like. Most, the Man in the Iron Mask, they lock you in this as a torture.
Yeah.
Like, most people are in an iron mask. They've, like, locked themselves into this fucking thing that's like, this is who I am. And the moment you start pulling the mask off, that's when people will say to you, you haven't been acting like yourself lately. Are you okay? And it's really what they're saying is, you're not playing the game of make-believe that we've been playing.
Yeah. But that's so close to someone literally losing their grasp on reality.
Well, yeah.
You know, like when Brody starts like saying, I have a gun, you're like, what's going on, man? And you just be like, well, I don't give a fuck about your things anymore. Or we need to get you help.
Oh, no, you're
going to be violent towards yourself.
Well, sure.
Or
I
others.
mean, there's pathological versions of the story.
Yeah.
They don't have to be pathological, though. You just like, if like I had a friend recently who was
me.
Not you. I had a friend recently who like tried to kill themselves, and like actually on a podcast he talked about it, like going up on the roof, and like he had it all planned out how to do it. He was researching it. He figured out the best way to do it, and not the going up on the roof isn't the way you do it, but it's like I don't even want to say how to do it because I don't want anyone to have I don't want the knowledge of how to kill myself in my brain or anyone else's brain, because it's really quite an efficient, interesting way I'd never heard before. Yeah. So anyway, suddenly he deletes all his online profiles.
Ooh.
Doesn't come into work. And
that's not a good sign.
Well, yeah. And at that point, I just text him. I'm like, well, I'm coming to your house. Even if you don't respond to my text, I'm just coming to your house right now, and I'm going to get the cops to come. So either respond or...
That's what's going to happen. Because
you tried to kill yourself. And at that point, it's no longer... It's up to us to make sure that you're okay. Yeah. So when as it turns out, he's fine. And actually, I think it meant a lot to him that a lot of us got together and like were with him and showed him that we loved him. So yeah, this doesn't mean like... someone starts flipping out or whatever, you're like, you're just not wearing your mask anymore, bro. It's cool. But really, again, it bring it into yourself and ask yourself, are there ways I'm behaving? I'll tell you, man, like this just happened.
Leaving religion, things like that. Go ahead.
I have a real cunty part of my personality, right? And so, yesterday I cleaned up the house. Picked up all my shit. I had shit scattered all over the fucking house, man. I had t-shirts everywhere, shirts, clothes everywhere. So as I'm cleaning up my house, I look down and there's like a pair of shoes that Cora had in the living room. Just a pair of shoes. My shit's was scattered across the whole house. But habitually when I saw that, I thought, well, look at this fucking mess. How could she just leave her shoes here? But I left my shit scattered everywhere, right?
Yeah.
So suddenly, I analyze that, and then I start thinking like, my God, how prone am I to blame other people for shit that I'm doing 1,000,000 times more? How prone am I to do that? And from that, I start looking back and thinking.
Wait, say it again.
So I realized from this habit, because that's how most people are. They're on autopilot. You're running a series of programs of habits, right? So if I'm having a habitual reaction to seeing like the person I live with's clothes on the ground, which is negative, which is like, wow, how are you? Look how many. But I'm
I've done that too.
But I'm 1,000,000 times messier.
Yeah.
Right. Then from that, you just have the courage to then like look at all the other times that maybe you've been pointing fingers.
Done the exact same thing.
But you're doing way worse.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then from that, I went to Cora and was like, hey, listen, I've been doing this and I just recognized it. I'm really sorry because I've been a mess for like weeks and haven't been picking this shit up. And like,
I realize how annoying that'll be.
Yes. And suddenly, boom, that piece of me, I instead of doing what a lot of people want to just be right, just yanking that little fucking stupid piece and acknowledging it to the person that I've been doing it. Now I'm a little bit more free from that little stupid piece.
Yeah.
So it's like, things like that, man. You can like wrench off all these unnecessary masks and accoutrements that you've pinned to yourself that aren't really necessary for you to have a peaceful, happy life. And that's really great.
So when people do start doing that and be like, hey, you're not yourself lately, what's going on? What do you think that is? That's just them saying, I don't want to be part of this same track that I've been put on. I want to go on a different road.
Well, a lot of people get really comfortable with the game the game of make believe you've been playing. It's like, hey, we've been playing this whole time. We've been playing, I'm your teacher, you're my student, and suddenly you're playing, you're my friend. Like, what's that? I want to play I'm your teacher, not you're my friend.
What do you mean?
Well, if you look at the relationship you have with different people in your life.
Definitely sometimes younger comics, you just get pushed into this thing of like, am I a mentor?
Right.
You know, and then at some point they hit 5, 6, 8, 10, 12 years into comedy. And it's like, hey man, don't tell me what to fucking do.
Yeah.
I guess I had this with Bobby Lee too, where he would lead me and teach me about stand-up. And then at some point it's like, Bobby, I know as much as you do.
There you go.
Don't talk down to me anymore.
See, that's it.
I'm a man now.
Right. So that's it. And so a good teacher is like, oh, cool. Okay. Yeah. Let's play friends now.
Right.
But a person who is like who's not comfortable with that will get really weird. I mean, that's kind of how you can.
Yeah. And also it's not even a question of like, I want to be the mentor. It's like, that's who I've always been. So let's just keep it in that.
Yeah, man.
You know?
This is like the.
Not even better or worse or anything, more pleasurable, less pleasurable. Just like, that's how we've done it. Let's not change.
Yeah. And sometimes you don't know why you're acting weird. Like sometimes you might just be acting weird.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't even know why yet. Like you haven't quite figured out, why am I walking around being a weirdo today? Like you might think, I seem to be kind of in a bad mood, but you just don't really know why. You're just being a dick, right? And you don't know why. You're just being a dick. So someone's like, what's going on? Why are you acting like that? The answer is, I have no fucking idea. For whatever reason, right now, I'm just being a dick, you know?
Yeah.
So... And it's gonna.
So everybody told me you're acting weird when I was like, guys, I want to slow down on this TV show. And they're like, what do you mean? This is what you always wanted. You had a TV show. I'm like, it's not what I always wanted. It's not. It's a fun thing to do, but it's not the end all. So, and they're like, but why? I don't understand. Like, I get it. You don't understand, but it's okay.
Yeah.
I want to do some other stuff.
Yeah. See, that's it. And hopefully the idea is when you watch kids play.
Yeah.
They don't play any one game for any long period of time. The game's always morphing and shifting and like, and that's how they have fun. So hopefully, like whatever group of people you're around or whatever life that you've gotten into, they're like, oh, okay, yeah, let's play this different game for a while.
When people clean up too, when you're heavy into like coke or whatever, heroin or even boozing, and then you're like, I kind of want to like get healthy and whatever. You end up losing all those friends.
Oh yeah,
because it's all your social life is about the booze. Booze is a better example. And then they go, oh, you've changed, you're different. You're like, I guess so, but I have all these other friends who are like, you're awesome now.
Yeah.
You know, because you're into hiking.
Yeah.
It's just like a different place. It's not better or worse.
Exactly.
It's almost like, guys, keep drinking. It's okay.
That's
it's okay.
It. Beautifully said.
I'm just not into it.
I just don't want to play that game of being a drunk right now. Is that cool? Yeah. I don't want to play the game of being a miserable drunk.
I love that too. People are like, come on, drink with me. I'm like, I'm on marijuana. And like, get fucked up my way. I'm like, no, let's all just get fucked up.
Yeah.
And let's not, we're so close to each other right now. You're on Xanax and you're on booze. We're all fucking escaping from reality. Let's not fight against each other.
Yeah. Well, I mean, exactly. But
it's not the first example, but it's
a great example. But the problem is these motherfuckers, it's like, the problem with booze and Xanax versus marijuana is it's like someone with the flu being like, come on, get sick with me, dude.
Right.
Come on.
Like, no, I feel better now.
No, come over, man. We'll all have diarrhea. We'll lay around the house in a fever. It'll be so fucking fun. Just come have the flu with me, man. All it takes, I'm just going to sneeze in your fucking mouth and you're going to feel like shit. You know? That's the fucking difference, man, because, you know, booze is like, it's not a good drug, man. That's not a good drug. That's a very tricky.
You just gotta control it once in a while. You gotta let it get out of hand.
You gotta control it, and like all things, you gotta rein it in. When you start recognizing
4 glasses of whiskey with a friend you haven't seen in a long time, that could be cool. But 6 glasses of whiskey every 5 nights a week is like, all right, this is a problem now.
You got a problem. Yeah, you got a fucking problem, and especially if your personality's changing on the shit. So it's
right.
You know what I mean? If like
Tell quit drinking, and people are like, what do you mean?
What?
You always David Tell.
Oh yeah, right.
Like you're the guy who could handle alcohol.
You're the drinking guy.
He goes, no, 25-year-old David Tell was the drinking guy, and now 48-year-old David Tell
and wants
some serious hangover problems.
And wants to live.
He's into kettlebells now.
He wants to live.
He wants to live. Yeah.
Fuck, he's good, man. I saw him at the Ice House. God.
He might be one of the best in terms of like I always say Burr, but then I realized that he's such a different style than Burr. Attell does his stuff where it's like you saw him at the Ice House. You went to see his hour.
No, he popped in on the Rogan thing. I just got lucky.
He will go like he'll ask everybody questions about like, you hear anybody doing jokes about tofurkey? That's something he asked me once. Any tofurkey jokes going on in LA? I'm like, not really. And he asked everybody. Have you heard? He asked me to ask door guys once. I feel like there's a joke that I might have heard in LA, maybe on a Sunday night or Monday night. Have you ever heard him? Like, no. He goes, can you put me in touch with one of those guys? I really feel like it might have been one of them. And I did, and they were like, no, I've never heard that. I've heard all the employees. And he goes, all right, and then he started doing it. His thing is, if there's a current events thing that won't be around for him to record a special with this material, he feels it as his responsibility to right now do a joke about this thing. I got 2 weeks on it while people are still thinking about it.
That makes sense.
So I'm going to do it because I'm a comic and I'm making people laugh at what they're thinking about.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's so cool.
I just, when I saw him,
Such a high level right now.
Well, he like, you know, like it's cool when you're a comedian, you watch a great comedian, you get a seminar, like you get this like weird class. But he opened on, I don't want to give any of it away because maybe it's jokes he's working on. It's
he changes around. He doesn't open with anything specific all the time.
Just like,
go ahead.
When I saw Carlin, he opened on this really silly joke. Yeah, silly, and
a lot of people do that.
And yeah, his joke, he'd have this like, I've never heard a joke about owls. Have you heard his owl joke?
Oh, I think I just heard it, but I forgot it.
It's so good. I'm not going to say it.
Just say it.
He opened up on a fucking owl joke, man. And but it's like, from that, you can like unpackage his mind, like how his mind works. Yeah. And you just think like, oh, you know, like if I'm thinking of stuff and I start thinking about owls, I'm not going to put that into a joke. Yeah. But this is an expert fisherman.
Oh, right. He'll see an owl. Maybe he'll be in Kansas City. He'll see an owl. Like, what do I think about owls? And he'll just spend 2 hours writing jokes about owls.
A great fisherman. Because a good fisherman, like he's reeling in fish that other people throw back. Mm-hmm. And because they're like, oh no, this is a shitty fish to eat. But he's a great fisherman.
Yeah, so this pond has nothing. Oh, you got to go deeper.
Or he's just like, maybe he's like a fisherman cook. Because it's like, yeah, maybe the fish isn't like something that looks initially like something you would eat. But wait till you see how I fucking cook this thing up, and that becomes this hilarious, simple, well put together, mathematically perfect, amazing joke.
And he shits on himself too constantly. He's like, that's an easy. It was just a quick switch. Anyone could do that. And it's like, oh man, you're at such a high level that you're shitting on yourself for being one step down from on that level.
Oh, that's like when it becomes satanic, because it's like not only are you incredibly good, but you're also going to say that anyone could do it just to make us all feel terrible.
He's not. He's doing it to himself.
No, I know. Yeah. But all the masters do that. The masters do that. And
could have been better.
I think it's beautiful. I think I didn't. That was
Schindler. Could have saved a couple more.
Well, no. I mean, I can remember like. Not to always bring it back to fucking Ram Dass, but this is my I do think he's incredible. But I remember like he was saying.
I've never heard him pronounce that way. Ram Dass.
He was like, we've got to get you from your head into your heart. Uh-huh. And I was like, that's impossible. And he's like, it's really easy. And I remember thinking like, what are you fucking talking about? But he's this beaming, awakened, beautiful thing.
That's him?
That's his guru, Neem Karoli Baba. Oh. But, lately I've been having like a whole wonderful reconsideration of the whole concept of the guru. So I don't know how long. I do love Neem Karoli Baba. I don't know how long the pictures are going to stay on the wall.
You're not into gurus anymore?
It's not that I'm not into gurus. The
idea of guruism, I mean?
I will always subscribe to the idea that no matter what age you're at, you're allowed to play with imaginary friends, and that it's completely okay to do, right? Okay. It's fine. So, and I'm not, so what I mean is, if you're going to have a guru, it's better to have a dead guru than a live guru, right? Because you
have the sum of all their parts already set, whereas a live guru, that's why they don't put any person alive on a U.S. stamp. Because like, what if it's a Cosby situation?
Bingo.
Like, let's just wait till they're done doing deeds.
That's it.
And then say, let's revere you.
So that's great. It's great.
Yeah.
Because no one's going to like call you up and ask for like $16,000 or whatever. So not that Neem Karoli Baba ever did anything like that, but the concept itself lately is,
drink the Kool-Aid.
What?
Drink the Kool-Aid.
That happens a lot. And the concept in my mind, even though I recognize it as being pretty cool, is sort of it's interesting to watch it kind of fall apart in my mind. And like, I like that. I think that's a good thing. Like, I think it's a good thing for something that you've contemplated and considered to be awesome or something great to like suddenly the shine goes off of it at first, and then suddenly it starts collapsing, and then you begin to realize, oh no, I was using it as a trick. I was tricking myself because I didn't want to deal with the responsibility of being a human being. And so I was allowing
you're
it.
grown up enough.
Yeah, and ultimately it comes down to like your predicament in the universe, and nobody can help you, which is really a fun, again, to me, another like, no one can help you except yourself, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know. I'm sort of scrambled about the whole guru thing lately. I'm a little scrambled.
What do you think? You should do it all yourself? Just ask different people for advice in different ways? Get whatever you can from whomever, excuse me?
I know people, I've met people who have seen Bigfoot, okay? I met them in the Pacific Northwest. People who I talked to, this woman told a Bigfoot story. I think it made it on the Rogan show. She said, I was hiking in the woods, and I looked over, and I thought, oh shit, a monkey must have escaped from like a zoo or something. And then she realized, oh fuck, that's a Bigfoot. I'm looking at some forest primate, right?
Yeah.
And the way she told the story was so convincing. And like, she saw something.
Yeah.
Something happened.
She's telling the truth.
She wasn't lying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She wasn't lying.
And so, in the same way, I have met people who have come into contact with very awakened, enlightened, actualized beings who had such an impression on them that they can't talk about these beings without like crying. Like they're completely transformed from their experience with these guys. And I've met people like Ram Dass who are like very awakened, but he certainly doesn't like, he's not.
What do they put them? They make them gods?
What?
They turn them into gods?
Well, you sort of like...
The mentee turns the mentor into gods?
What?
Like the people turn the guru into a god? Is that what you're saying? Into this like...
It's
deity?
more like, think of like the most in love you've ever been with anybody. Like a combination of a girl, a dog, your mom, your dad, like the whole thing all into, like it's like you get around someone who... Now again, this is reporting other people's experiences. Okay? So it's like you get around someone who, for whatever reason, knows you. There's reports of telepathy. They know things about you you've never told anyone. And the whole thing that's blasting out of these people is 100% pure, unadulterated, unconditional love. Maybe they've just like trained themselves in a way that their brain is just spewing fucking oxytocin and dopamine into themselves at all times, and so they're radiant.
Yeah.
So I've heard about these people, and I've met people who are like very wonderful, beautiful people who've had that contact, but you know, I haven't met the physically met that thing yet, and I think that
you haven't physically met that
I've never been
to
around.
make you do that.
They say the power, they're like so potent that you just like want to be around them. They're like the most, they're like a billion, like if like they don't use this description, and this is a very low level shitty description, but if a photon is coming from the sun, right? Then it would be like Leonardo, imagine like, not that you like Leonardo DiCaprio, but a famous being.
I don't like him. I love him.
Okay. Imagine a sun composed of that level of like,
Leos?
yes, like that level of like, what the, like anything that you think's great in as far as another person, whoever you've, times 1 trillion, right? So that's the description. Whether it's real or not, I don't know. But so anyway, all of that mythology aside, to me, it seems like if you really want to enter into something that is going to disappoint you, let another human being become the conduit for everything good in the universe. Or let another human being be a screen that you use to project what's good about you, or let yourself believe...
What? You're saying you should do this?
I'm saying if you want to be disappointed, do that.
Oh, right.
Because humans are fallible.
Right.
You know what I mean? And humans are still just fucking humans. And even though...
Remember in The Master? You ever see The Master?
Yeah.
When he's like, some lady's like, or some reporter's like, didn't you actually take funds from this? He goes, shut up, you pig fuck!
I remember
And all the
that.
people go, oh, you're not our leader.
Human.
Yeah.
Human, 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 human. Human, goddammit, human.
Yeah.
And that's fine. Because we've got teachers in the world. There's no question about it. There's people who will teach you how to knit. There are people who will teach you how to play golf. And there's, I think, people who can teach you how to not yell pig fuck at parties. And
But they're not gods. They're not all powerful.
any more than you are.
So a guru, you're saying, is giving them too much power. It's saying, I'll do everything you tell me to do, or everything you lead me to do.
Right.
And I shouldn't do everything you lead me to do.
I mean,
I should be like, I don't like this part. I'm not going to do that.
that's my opinion right now.
So that's what you're going through, where it's like just the gurus in general are a bad idea.
I think investing your potency in any person, whether it's a guru, whether it's a boss, whether it's your child, your wife, your girlfriend, boyfriend, your dog.
Even dead people, though. I mean, let's say you were really into the works of Hitler. I mean, whatever. I mean, let's say you were like, Jews are terrible. I like a car for the people.
Yeah.
Blitzkriegs are a great idea. Just whatever. And then you're like, he's my man. He's my man. And then years later, you find out, he had a micro penis, and that's what. I don't know.
Yeah.
Even dead people can disappoint you.
Well, yeah, that's the whole thing, man. Is it's like the more that you allow yourself the kind of whatever you want to call it, the luxury or the laziness, the lazy pattern of like letting another person be the source of happiness for you, then come on, you've lost to me. Then that means that you've really maybe sort of lost the source of happiness.
Yeah, you're not making your own decisions. When Rogan used to take me to fucking Vegas, you remember that, and it was like, let's go to a nightclub.
Right.
And I didn't realize till way later, I'm an introvert. And nightclubs are, it's a kryptonite for me. It feels bad. I didn't realize.
Yes.
And I'm like, he's like, no, man, this is fun. And it is for him. And so we go out to these things and I just suffer for 4 hours. And then eventually I figured out ecstasy would make it bearable at least.
Right.
But I didn't want to have to buy ecstasy every time I went to open for Rogan in Vegas.
There you go.
And at some point I realized, oh no, man, I think I'm just going to go hang out by the pool, maybe go hiking early tomorrow.
And be in heaven.
Yeah, be in heaven, really enjoy myself. Like, I don't need to take your version of what fun should be.
There you go.
I need to figure out my own version. Thank you for the idea that I should be having fun.
Yeah.
I like that. You're right. We're done with our show. I should have some fun right now.
Yes.
But your fun is not my fun.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's it, man. And that, that can be like, that's just a great way to be. And you can, you can gauge whether you need a person around you or not around you by their reaction to that simple statement, because you're either going to be around someone who's going to be like, no, your version of fun is not fucking fun at all. You come with me. Or they're going to be like, okay, yeah, man, I'll see you tomorrow.
That's what Rogan eventually did when I laid down the law.
Yeah.
And I was like, you guys go ahead. I'll be okay.
Yeah.
He goes, you don't want to come? I was like, I don't really enjoy that. He goes, well, I'll see you tomorrow. Or once he was like, well, what do you want? You want to just get something to eat? And I was like, yeah, I'd way rather, if you want to, I'd way rather do that.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, we can do that.
That's a friend.
Yeah.
Versus someone who's not like that. And, the Ram Dass and those guys, like I've said truly, intentionally, some like really blasphemous things about Neem Karoli Baba to see
the reactions.
If I'm going to get the whole like blasphemy thing thrown back, and they're always like, they usually will either laugh or they're like, yeah, wow, yeah, no, I don't think like that. But there's never a like, that's evil to think that.
Cast thee out.
They're just like, whatever, they usually just think it's funny.
Yeah. And I think Americans are all Nazis. Well, all right. Yeah, I don't see that, but sure, man.
If that works for you, that's what you think.
Yeah.
Which is why I love them and always will. But still, right now, my brain is just like, well, more than likely, if you find yourself
so I do, yeah,
in a situation with a guru, that song "Sexy Sadie" by the Beatles.
Sexy Sadie.
That's about a guru.
Boom. Oh, I don't know that song.
Sexy Sadie, what have you done? You made a fool of everyone. That's about hold on, I'll tell you the name of their guru. That's about Maharishi. Let's see, Sexy Sadie.
You made a fool of everyone?
Yeah.
Why? Because they did betray them?
Oh, yeah, totally, because he was humping everybody.
Oh. Sexy Sadie.
Yeah.
It's like the guru from Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
You're just like, I'll get somebody else to pay my bills for me.
Yeah, Sexy Sadie. Let's see. Let me see if I can tell you. Sexy Sadie. Hold on. It's Lennon. The song was written by John Lennon in India. And Lennon originally wanted to title the song Maharishi, but changed the title to Sexy Sadie because you can hear, Maharishi, what have you done? You made a fool of everyone. Lennon was disillusioned after Maharishi Mahesh Yogi had allegedly made a sexual advance towards Mia Farrow.
Whoa.
Attending the course Maharishi was teaching at his ashram. So yeah,
disillusioned.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I saw that. I was listening to a talk about Middle Eastern politics right now and how the Ayatollahs came into Iran and to, I guess it was Iran, and started running it. But then they started murdering people. And I was like, wait, but wasn't he a religious leader? And he goes, yeah, but religious leader.
Right.
So, like, he wasn't all religion. He wasn't all good. You're thinking of fucking a movie version of something.
Right.
He's a dude.
It's a dude.
Yeah.
That's it. It's a dude.
Yeah.
Never forget that. It's a dude.
Burr had a bit about that, about how he couldn't believe priests because, like, wait, you have a link to God? But I grew up with you. You're just Tony. You don't talk to God. You're fucking Tony. You got picked 8th in football.
Right.
Like, you ain't got a fucking line to Jesus.
There you go. Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah. And that's exciting, man. That's a real exciting thing. After you get over the initial disappointment, it really is kind of cool.
It's like, I mean, I say this with Tarantino. I say it with Michael Jackson. You can separate the art from the artist. And the guru from, I don't know what the word is.
The teaching from the guru.
The teaching from the guru, yeah. Where it's like, yeah, this is great, man. But I love Tarantino. Even lately when he's really just making Tarantino films.
I like The Hateful Eight.
I liked it. But it's not like a good movie. It's a good Tarantino movie. It's
right.
like clearly he's putting it stylized. It's not like Jackie Brown and Pulp Fiction where it's like, this is just cool movies.
I don't think I've seen Jackie Brown.
Oh, it's fun.
I'll watch it tonight.
But he was just making cool, good movies. You know, and now he's making this grindhouse stuff every time.
Right.
And I'm like, I wish he'd get back to movie making. But still, it's a more interesting movie than you'll ever just see a random film.
Right.
It's way more interesting. But here's the deal. Kill Bill was amazing. But you ever see Kill Bill?
It's been forever.
Oh, you know that guy who's like raping her and when she was in catatonic state every night?
Yes.
I'm Buck and I like to fuck.
Yes.
And he drove around this car called the Pussy Wagon.
Yes.
Tarantino drives that around.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, you're a cheese dick. But you make amazing works of art.
You've seen that thing where Tarantino acts black? You ever seen that?
Oh, no.
Oh, wait. I think I can play it. I think it'll record the singer.
Oh, yeah? Yeah, for sure.
Okay,
and same with Michael Jackson with the child rape. It's like, I'm for sure against that. But Beat It is a great hit.
Hold on, let me find this. So this is like a legendary thing where Tarantino is like on a black show.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, takes on the dialect out of nowhere.
He is really intrigued by black culture.
Let me find this.
Almost torturedly intrigued.
Let's see.
Yeah,
This
sure.
is it might have been taken down by now.
Oh, so you run this shit straight through?
It runs straight through.
Oh, that's way better instead of what I do. Put the fucking...
Director and Academy Award winner Quentin Tarantino. And now that film has to be like one of the most quoted movies in Hollywood with just the lines and everything. So you got to give us. This is my question for you, Q.
Q.
What is the most famous line? Your favorite line from Pulp Fiction?
I think probably the most famous line is, "I'm gonna get medieval on your ass." Big Ream says it.
Pleasing your fans or pleasing the critics for you?
Oh, interesting question, actually. Well, I want to please my fans, and I want to please the critics that are my fans. The critics ain't my fans. I don't give a damn.
True.
Yeah.
Which is weird.
There's a lot of them out there.
I think the other thing when you're working with Quentin, you know that what he's really doing is fulfilling his vision. You know, he's a visionary director. For us to have the opportunity to work with.
Now, I'm not that computer savvy. So if he had sent me something that I plug into my computer, I don't know if I would have ever heard it. All right, hey, download this. I don't know how to do that. All right, so he put it on a cassette tape.
Dude, I did that in college when I was around black people. I didn't know how to fit in, but I didn't realize till later. It was like, hey, just be yourself.
Well, it's just kind of, it is kind of endearing.
Yeah, but it's like, douche.
Yeah.
What are you doing? But it doesn't mean he doesn't make great films.
Oh, he makes great films.
Yeah, those teachings of those people are like, yeah, man, you get it, but I guess you also like to...
You also like to finger. Now, here's the thing, man. this is part of like being a human is you got to become an informational filtration system. So it means that like you can't
weed out the bad, the good.
Yeah, if somebody like okay,
you wouldn't write off a whole restaurant just because they have one dish that sucks.
If a person came up to you, right? Yeah. Let's say you've had some terrible problem in your life, and a person came up to you, holding on both hands the severed heads of toddlers that they just decapitated in a nearby playground, but told you the perfect answer to a problem that you've been having.
Yeah.
The answer is still a perfect answer.
Yeah.
The fact that they were like just murdering down at a local playground doesn't mean that whatever they told you.
But most people won't hear it because of that toddler murder.
That's right. If in the same,
we need to become desensitized to toddler murder so that we can actually accept their teachings.
Well, if a fucking guy, and it's the same light, if the toddler murder like came out and like revealed the theory of relativity, you know, or some like brand new mode of like energy transference or some brand new way to like harness the sun's energy, it's still a useful tactic. It's unfortunate that it's coming out of the device is a child murderer. So we have to be the ones who are discerning enough to recognize, well, okay, the thing itself sucks. Another way to put it is, if the bottle that you're drinking, the medicine that you need to save yourself, it has a displeasing shape, it doesn't mean that the medicine doesn't work.
Yeah, it's hilarious. And people think that way, though.
Yeah, they do.
The bottles or the beer.
Or the bottle, a lot of times they're like, the vehicle doesn't look the way I thought it should look, therefore I won't accept what's inside of it. So that's another thing that people do, is like, because the thing looks...
Dude, if I see it like an ugly woman who's, let's say, 50, or let's say 40, and like chubby, she's invisible to me. It's a problem where I'm like, I can't even take you, like, seriously.
Well, this is what's really cool about the Tibetan Buddhist stories of their like teachers is one of them, I think his name is Tilopa. I could be saying it wrong, but the story is that this Tibetan had gone off to find this teacher, Tilopa. His name might have been Marpa. Who cares what his name was? What?
Tilapia?
It's like tilapia. It might have been Marpa. I think the guy's name was Marpa, and he's looking for this guy named Tilopa. And so he'd been searching for this guy who was apparently an enlightened being. And he gets to this village where this guy supposedly lived, and he asks someone, is the enlightened being Tilopa, does he live here? And the guy's like, Tilopa, the enlightened being? Well, there's a homeless guy named Tilopa who lives by the river and eats shit. If that's who you're talking about, you can probably find him down there. So, you know, he like, and this is the being, not literally eating shit, but this is the being responsible for this line of this very respected line of Tibetan Buddhism. And the guy was a complete lunatic. And the guy was covered in mud. He lived around a bunch of dogs. He was just a mess. He didn't look anything like the way an enlightened being is supposed to look. And if Marpa hadn't been smart enough to recognize that many times the envelope that you expect the good news to be in isn't going to look the way you think the envelope should look, then there wouldn't be this line of Tibetan Buddhism. So that is a problem. I mean, the problem is anytime you get caught up in thinking things should look the way you expect them to, you're always missing out. Yeah. You're always going to miss out.
Not taking someone seriously. I did this in screenwriting class in college when I was still trying to do that. And it was a workshop class. You had to write 10 pages. Everybody gets your 10 pages. Come back. That's on Tuesday. Come back on Thursday. Give notes on the 10 pages. You know, what did you like? Well, not almost what did you like. No, what did you like is irrelevant. What didn't you like? What was the problem? What stuck out exceptionally good? This one lady, the whole class, she was from somewhere in Africa. She was an African immigrant student. All right, maybe 25, but I just didn't take her seriously. It was just like, what do you know? Fucking out of American, you know? And then at some point towards the end of the semester, she told me something. She said one of her things was like really dead on. I was like, what? Oh yeah, you're right. And I was like, I've ignored all your advice the whole semester. Fuck, that was probably all brilliant.
There you go.
God damn it.
Well, this is why we're fools, Ari.
Yeah. All right. Well, I don't know where else we're going to go with this.
We did it.
Yeah, we did it.
Cool, man.
What do you got? Okay, so now hold on. Here, I'll drop this into the front. Maybe I'll just say it in the intro. But let's talk about this tour you're going on.
I'm going on a massive tour.
Have you ever done anything like this before? You did a tour, but not like 30 days in a row.
I've never done anything like this. This is a bus tour. Squarespace is sponsoring it. I'm going everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a blast. And I finally finished
I love Squarespace.
They're the best.
They're the best.
Praise God. Thank God for them. They're my patrons.
Yeah.
They're literally my patrons. So
literally
they are. So I just finished. I've been, going on stage.
You're killing it.
A shit ton.
You've been killing it.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
And I've been working really hard. And you're a lot of inspiration for that. Whenever I think about comedy work ethics, I always think about you, man. You really are an inspiration when it comes to that. But I've been going up
That's all I was trying for. Now I'm done.
Well, dude,
just evaporated in a ball of light. I was never here.
You really are, like, you do know how to do it, man. And so I've been going up nonstop to get ready. And then there's all the other shit that goes along with a tour, which is getting the shirts, getting the openers, all this crazy.
You found that guy you liked in Denver.
Yes, that's right.
That's cool, man. That's what, when I see Stanhope bring people, he's like, I found this guy. He's in the middle of nowhere, but he's fucking talented.
Oh, God, yeah, man. He's really good.
What's Stephen
Aggie. The problem is I don't even know how to say his last name. Aggie. Stephen Aggie, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway, he is fucking funny. And he was in Denver crushing it. He's so good. And, so it's exciting for me to go along with him. And, he's a guy, which is, it kind of like, no matter what, that guy's going to be a successful comedian.
Yeah.
So it's cool to make friends with guys like that before they become like the next goddamn like Eddie Murphy or whatever. It's like, remember I took you on tour with
He will.
Yeah, because he will. Like, this is a guy who's like really good. So, so anyway, I found all these
T-shirts. I saw the design. It looks cool.
T-shirts are ready. Everything's ready to go. The bow is pulled back, and so now next week I fly to Asheville.
You're starting in Asheville, in your hometown.
In my hometown, starting in Asheville at the Orange Peel. Our bus driver's name is English, and
his first name is English?
No, that's his nickname, English. So we have a bus driver named English. It's so cool. He's going to take us all over the country. So I'm super excited. And the show that I have to promote, because it's a big theater, is DC.
That's where I'm from.
I'm at Washington, D.C. The links are at duncantrussell.com. Please come to the show.
What's the name of the place in D.C.?
Hold on, I'll tell you right now.
So how many, as you're looking it up, how many total dates do you have? I think it's like 32 days, 33 days?
It's around 30 days, and we added some shows, because thank God some of the shows have already sold out. Like in New York, we added a show.
When are you going to be in New York?
The 9th.
The 9th of what?
April.
April?
Yeah.
Oh, we'll figure it out.
You want to do a spot?
Yes.
That'd be fucking cool, man.
Yes.
Yes, for sure. I'm going to be in Washington, D.C. on April 5th at the Howard Theater.
Washington, D.C., April 5th at the Howard Theater. Where's the Howard Theater, you know?
I don't know.
Damn.
It's downtown or something.
It's not at Howard, is it?
What?
It's not at Howard University. No way.
No, it could be. It's at Howard Theater. I don't know. So
I went to a Bob Marley birthday party at Howard University, and everyone's dancing and stuff. I was, I think, the only white guy there. There might have been one white girl, and my friend Jesse took me, and I was like, you know what? I was like, I'm gonna go dance. I had a couple of beers, went to dance, and then everyone just stopped and looked at me, and I was like, nah, get back to the bar. That sucks. Oh, that's cool. DC will be fun.
Yeah, I can't wait. And
I have a lot of followers in DC.
Well, dude,
guys, come out, watch Duncan in DC.
Come out, and
What the whole tour? What else? Just all the way up the East Coast?
Asheville, Charleston, Durham, Richmond, Baltimore, Washington, Philadelphia, Hamden, Boston, New York, Pittsburgh, Columbus, Cleveland, Ferndale, Toronto, Chicago, Madison, Minneapolis, Kansas City, St. Louis, Nashville, Vancouver, Seattle, Portland, San Francisco, Los Angeles, and that's it.
Wait. You're not taking the bus the whole way across the country?
First we do the East Coast, and then I'm going to fly around all those other days.
Okay.
So that's how that works.
And is Manolis going to open for you in Toronto?
Yes, he is.
That'll be cool.
Yep.
That'll be cool.
It's super cool. Yeah, he's a sweetie.
Yeah, I like Manolis.
Cool, man.
That'll be fun as shit, dude. I've always wanted to do a bus tour. Well,
dude, you should hop on the bus with us in New York and at least just like travel around with us for a second.
That's not a bad idea.
There's plenty of room in the bus.
Yeah. So you're going from there to that thing you were telling me about before?
Well, that's not certain, so I can't talk about it. But I'm hopefully so. But we have 2 days off, and the bus has got to go somewhere. So
yeah, you can't really park in New York very long, Manhattan.
They have. It's so funny because so many tour buses come into New York. There's a special place outside of New York where all the tour buses park.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that's where we're gonna be.
Wow, that's great. That's fucking cool, man.
Shit, man, my Mac's about to fall asleep.
Oh, okay. Well, What do you got? I don't even know.
2 hours and 13 minutes.
You don't do percentages?
It's 2 hours and 13 minutes.
No, you don't do percentage on the
Oh, no. It just says soon. So
you're just flying blind? You got to go 2%, 1%? You got to
wrap it up.
All right, let's wrap it up. Duncan Trussell, at Duncan Trussell on Twitter. This podcast, no?
Oh, helicopter, not an earthquake.
Oh, yeah.
Good. No, it's at Duncan Trussell. The podcast is the
Two S's, two L's.
Yes.
The Duncan Trussell Family Hour that I've been on a few times. It's a great podcast.
Thank you, Ari.
Be careful if you listen to it because you might fall into a nonstop love affair with Duncan.
Yes, please. Love me. I love you. All right, man. Thank you, Ari. I'm sorry to end at your own podcast, but I don't want this to end and we lose everything.
Yeah. All right, best up. Thank you, Duncan. Don't forget to check out Duncan Trussell Family Hour, his podcast, and DuncanTrussell.com, 2 S's, 2 L's for all his tour dates. Go see him, you guys. He's really fucking on fire lately. Me, however, not as much. This fucking revolutionary material is going as poorly as can be. Fucking try a bit 9 times for people in a row, and it works twice. What am I supposed to think? They're not wrong. You can't get 7 out of 9 groups being wrong. I'm going to be in Tempe, Arizona this week, continuing to try to make it happen, starting on Thursday night at the Tempe Improv, and continuing Friday and Saturday night, also at the Tempe Improv. And then on Monday, I'm back in New York, and I have Thursday, a week from this Thursday, this will be April 7th, I have a storyteller show at Union Hall in Brooklyn, New York. You know what? Let's just keep the fucking lineup secret, because why not? And then upcoming dates, I got Madison, Wisconsin, Appleton, Wisconsin, probably, San Francisco, Nashville, Baltimore. You can check out everything at arithegreat.com. The End of the Road tour continues, October 22nd, you guys. I'm done after that. I'm done. They tried to tempt me today with a tour of Europe. Nope. I'm done. October 22nd. Maybe I'll do 2 weeks as a vacation after my special. But then that's it. Maybe not. Maybe I'll just finish special and be cool. Start working on the next hour. Maybe not, though. Maybe I'll just do a tour special. Iceland. It'd be fun to go to Iceland. Anyway, whatever. Get an End of the World t-shirt at arithegreat.com also. And you guys, Shroomfest is coming up. July 16th through the 18th this year. So start finding your mushrooms now. I'm serious. LA is rife with them. They're everywhere. So if you don't see them, fucking ask, like I say, ask that dirty friend. If you ever wanted to know about mushrooms, Google Shroomfest Primer. Shroomfest Primer. And I wrote a comprehensive guide to anything you want to know on your first time doing mushrooms. I explain it in layman's terms. Seriously, go check it out. It's really helpful. It's probably the most academic thing we've ever done. All right, you guys. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. Thank you, Duncan Trussell. Next week, Steve Simone is on an uplifting podcast, just like he always has. All right, that's it. This Is Not Happening playlist on YouTube. If you check those, you can get those long-form stories They're out every Tuesday, different one every Tuesday. We got a Run the Jewels mix right now. Mike Lawrence's is out today, and then a Run the Jewels mix of the openings all put together, all kind of strung out. If you haven't noticed by now, they're all one long storyline, so wait to see what happens. And I guess thanks Killer Mike and LP for unintentionally doing the soundtrack that this is not happening this year and last year. And guys, there's every Tuesday there's going to be a new story on the YouTube channel until September. So keep going back there every Tuesday or Wednesday, I guess, whatever you want to do. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Ari Shaffir Skeptic Tank, episode 259. Existence is Futile with Duncan Trussell, and goodbye.
The world was waiting.